I, I haven't seen this clip, but I saw. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I'll just let John listen to it.
No, right here. I'm gonna send. I'll share it with y'all.
Jeez. Right as we go live.
Right as we go live. It's perfect.
Sure.
Okay. My dog died. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna watch it, and I don't care if the audio comes through. Here we go. Gura, my dog died.
Oh, wow, my internet.
Oh no,
my internet is going slow. Oh no.
Yo, is she naked?
Gura, my dog died.
No,
Let's go!
they don't have naked versions.
What?
That's a joke, right? Please tell me that's a joke. I don't think anybody would actually send that, unironically.
Pop out.
Maybe I shouldn't laugh if that's true. I'm sorry if that's gotta be a joke. Memes? Is it a meme? Is it a copy paste pasta? Copy pasty pasta?
Holly, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I was watching the clip and it was like, oh,
Okay,
this is decidedly not funny, so I closed it.
Okay, so the screen cap.
I typed in Gura, and that was the first thing I saw. That was the first autofill thing. I was
Right.
like, what?
The screen cap I saw is that someone sent a super chat before that was like an unironic version of like,
God.
Gura, my dog died at 6. My dog died this morning. I've been crying all day, but your streams are the one thing that cheers me up. Thanks for being awesome. And then somebody sends, Gura, my dog died. Let's go.
Let's go!
Like, please send these messages of like emotional baggage to the streamer.
Yeah, always a good idea. That's a smart thing to do.
I heard one of them be like,
that dude.
one of them had to be like, yeah.
That dude that sends the super chat that's telling them like, my dad got cancer this morning. Like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, I did see one where it was like, oh, I can't remember. It was like, I just had a huge asthma attack, or
There's an owl girl now, apparently. I don't know.
yeah, she's on right now. She just debuted.
She's a Jim Croce fan, though, so we got some common ground here. I feel like...
one of them mentioned Uchikoshi, which was nice.
Well, I mean, I don't think liking Kataru Uchikoshi is that weird of a thing when you're in the kind of weeb spaces that you inherit. But when somebody busts out I am a fan of 1960s, 70s singer-songwriter who is currently deceased, Jim Croce. Yeah, that's a little weird.
Okay. Well, I'm not watching her right now because we're podcasting.
Wow! Yeah, this is like a podcast where you can't... This is an episode where you can't even just, like, watch it in the background and ignore what we're talking about. I normally do. Like you normally do. Like this episode, like, I've got my Switch here, and I'm just going to play Mary Skelter the whole time. So...
Rude.
I don't... My Switch is, like... listen, if I wanted to play my Switch this episode, I would have to get up and walk 7 steps to get to it. You fucking think I'm doing that on a Sunday? You're out of your goddamn mind.
I know
It is
I was
sad.
rude enough to do that, like, at least once, like in 2015, 2016.
Yeah, I seem to remember some of that.
I think it was
happening.
Romancing. I was just kind of grinding in Romancing Saga 2, and then went, I beat this boss!
Something like that.
Oh, wait a minute. That was maybe a dick move.
Those episodes where, like, when you have the kind of run of episodes we have now, it often makes me wonder, like, what's the point of having them archived? Who's going back and listening to, like, episode 21 of the Sockscast?
There's at least one person who went through, like, at least, like, the first, like, 20 or 30 episodes.
I know.
I was like, whoa.
I think Jessica Jaguar did.
Oh, neat.
At least some of them, because she was mentioning to me a number of things that happened in earlier episodes, and I'm like,
oh boy.
I'm just kind of nodding and going, yeah, that happened probably, sure. You could literally say anything right now, and I'd just have to say yes, and have to agree that it was funny.
Honest to God, I don't remember these. I have revisited past episodes one time because I wanted to hear myself the first time I talked about Symphogear.
Oh god, yeah. Like you'd have to kind of like find the point in time.
Oh no, I definitely know which one it is. I went back and listened to it, and it's very funny because I don't name any of the characters by name. I'm just like, oh yeah, and one of them has a big sword, one of them has a big gun. It's very fun. They blow stuff up.
Yeah, Poncho wants to go back and listen to my song. I wrote a song about Lumo, and I remember singing like a longer than usual song about hating the last half of Lumo because it was very hard and I'm a baby and I don't like it when video games challenge me. So I remember singing a very off-the-cuff song about hating it, but I could not tell you like what episode that was.
An isometric puzzle platformer game.
It's a good game. I like it. Okay, but I was very mad at the back like 1/3 of that game because it gets really hard and it's like, oh, it's all ice physics now. Great.
Dude, we need clippers.
We do.
Just
It's
clip
like a
the best
Sockscast,
parts.
like, right?
Yeah.
When we did episode 50, Carmichael was a beautiful, gorgeous baby, and he went like he sent me I put a thing at the end of episode 50 that was like a compilation of some of the funnier moments that had happened on the show. But that was largely put together by Carmichael, just sending me clips and telling me what timestamps they were on. It's just like, man, I wish we had kept doing that. That way I could always kind of have like this long thing that when we hit big milestones like that, I could just throw a big clip show together and be like, we're not doing an episode! Here's a clip show. But now I can't do that, and I'm not going back and listening. Like, these things run 3 hours long at a time.
It seems like it would be much harder to do that than to record a new episode.
Yeah. Which is exactly why I want to take a moment to welcome everybody to Sockscast, episode 142. You'll be listening to this episode, but you probably won't want to listen to it in a year. Like, nothing we say. Nothing we say will be the only parts of this episode that will be relevant in a year is literally anytime an episode gets marked with the word Symphogear, like, it's basically, like, that part is relevant for a lifetime because that's just always going to be Rhett's thing. But, like, everything else is disposable trash, and we all know it. Like, I couldn't tell you what happened in episode 13. Was Maple on that episode? I don't know. I know we did it. Man, you remember when we did topics?
Remember when we did guests?
Remember that time we did almost like 8 months of guests, and by the end of it, I was like, I don't ever want to do another podcast anymore, so we should probably stop doing the guest episodes.
Yeah.
But hey, we got like literally everybody in the community in like during that time though, so.
Aww.
Well, I think we got most everybody that like. There's only a couple more people I'd want to have on for like full episodes. Like we haven't had Angry Ed on. And Angry Ed's like an OG. Like he's an SMPS OG. Like I would want to have him on an episode at some point. Just some people that have stuck around for years, and they never got their shot to be on the show yet. Or like with the case with Ed is that like life gets busy, you kind of lose track of people for a while, and then you end up kind of floating back. Like I think I literally this dude streams awesome, and then we kind of just found each other again a couple years ago or something. So yeah. Like, things like that. Well, yeah, like, we did that whole run of episodes with guests from the community, and it was just like, I think we got most everybody that ever wanted to be on an episode on. That's why we don't do, like, long-form guest episodes anymore unless it's just, like, something strikes me out of the blue.
Mm-hmm. So, Sockscast episode 13, we had Eric of Eric's Joystick on.
Appropriate.
And this is how long we've been doing these. I was playing the game Neptunia Rebirth 1.
Wow. Oh, man.
February 2015.
Oh, that's when it started. That's when
that's literally when it came out.
Because I remember right after that episode, I literally went and bought the first Rebirth game. Yeah. Because you had because I had played the original and like, man, this PS3 game is real bad.
It's so bad.
And then I just remember having this almost conundrum during that episode of like, how can Neptunia be good? How is he making it sound like a decent and fun video game? And then it's like, that's the next 3 years of this podcast.
We have chronicled the entire rise and fall of Neptunia.
Oh my god, we have. That's wild. Whew. We've been here a while, folks.
Didn't I tell you all about how good Undertale was while hopped up on Sudafed?
I'm pretty sure you did, yeah.
I think those two things intersected. I was like, y'all, you gotta understand. This game's like really good.
That was late 2015, right? We could probably figure out what episode it was pretty easily.
We're all very lazy, Rhett.
Yeah. I don't know that a podcast has stanned the Neptunia series as much as we did for like 3 years, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, was it only 3 years?
I think
felt like
so.
a lifetime.
Because it was like it was up through. Well, I think we
Megan
were still pretty excited for like 4GO. I think.
I mean, yeah, y'all seemed interested and excited for a good while after it went bad.
Yeah, like
Yeah, that's true.
And then I had my fallout with Idea Factory,
Mm-hmm.
and now I kind of like them again, but just because I like Mary Skelter.
Mm-hmm.
Which since I am ceding most of my time this episode to Rhett, I'll just say I ain't done much. I played Mary Skelter 2 a lot more. I'm near the end. I think that game's pretty okay. I'm still enjoying it. It's a game that I've played for over 50 hours at this point, and it hasn't felt like 50 hours, so that's probably a good sign. And I guess if I'm gonna like throw recommendations out, I'm gonna go check out 2 demos on Steam when you get the chance. I want you to go check out Beacon Pines, which is a cool little you sort of write the story kind of thing, but more of like a cute little adventure game with a nice style. It looks like it's going in a kind of a dark direction that I really like, and I think the art style is incredible. And you should also go check out Unsighted, because man, that game's going to be real fucking good. It's a top-down sort of isometric kind of RPG dealio with a really, really beefy combat system, some real nice parrying that feels super good. The demo's pretty. Yeah, and like the demo's got a lot of stuff to it. Like there's a lot of stuff when I streamed it I intentionally just skipped, because I would say I skipped a good 30% of the stuff that's in the demo on purpose, because I wanted people to try it. But yeah, check out Unsighted. That's going to be out on Switch and Steam this year. So, yeah. Cool. But, to my immediate virtual right, here's what happens if ifs and buts were candy and nuts. It's Rhett.
Hello.
Hey. Are you ready? Are you ready for your your really, really big show?
Another Red Big Show.
Yeah. This is like this is the only episode of the podcast we're ever going to do that's going to be as big as Rhett's penis.
I mean, my list of things I did is very long, so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's comparable, at least.
Yeah.
So you're ready. You're ready to get going. You would definitely not rather be watching HoloLive Girls premiere right now. You could give a fuck less about all of that. You just want to be right here with your best friends, producing your podcast that is in no way grown tired or stale, and that definitely compares with looking at fake anime girls talk about games they don't really like.
Ollie, you know what falling in love feels like?
I mean, I've had moon pies, Rhett. Believe me, I know.
That feeling just happened to me about an hour ago.
Oh my god.
I really like one of the new girls.
Which one?
Was it the clock one?
Yeah, which one is
Wait. Cronny.
Cronny.
She's got blue hair. She kind of looks like Saber.
Is she the clock one?
Yes. Okay. Obviously, okay. John, I've been DMing you about her for like 2 hours. Of course,
I didn't know if there were multiple ones you fell in love with.
No, it's
okay.
Brett, twice.
Sarah sent me art of her by one of the Fate artists, so she looks like them.
Yeah.
Nero.
How is this person debuting, but they already got art from the Fate artist?
Because I think the Fate artist did their character design.
That's fucking what is going on here? What is going on in the world of this?
HoloLive's fucking huge. Like, all the artists that for the new girls were already significantly famous. And I saw people calling this the Grand Order gen, because 3 out of 5 or something are artists that work on Fate Grand Order.
Good lord. Something, man, I don't know. You're getting too big now. You're losing sight of the grassroots of everything.
Oh no, see, that's the thing. HoloLive is absolutely
Nah, they've always been super
the king shit of VTubers right now.
Yeah, Bad Bad.
Where these girls get up to 100,000 subs without actually doing anything now. They are just at that level from an announcement.
Man,
it's nuts.
Man, When this boom and this bubble crashes, oh my god, the lives that are going to be ruined. Woo! Woo! It is very depressing for me to think about, and that's one of the big reasons I tend to stay away from VTuber stuff. I know we're going on a tangent here, but who fucking cares?
This is my tangent episode.
Okay, but the reason I have to stay away from the VTuber stuff and not get too involved, unless it's like
because you
somebody...
don't want to fall in love.
Well, no, it's just I know that there are real people behind that, and they're probably going to get fucked in the end. Like, that's kind of just how I see it. I don't see this as a trend that's going to be like something that's here in like 2 years. I could be wrong. You can mark this right now in this episode of the podcast.
And I feel like you will definitely be wrong.
Polly was completely wrong and has to eat her words over the fact, but I just feel that like this is a bubble that's going to burst, and like a lot of people are going to end up like. I think a lot of feelings are going to be hurt. I think a lot of shady shit's going to come out. It's going to be... I think so. I think there's a lot of ugly stuff happening that we just don't know about yet, and I'm shielding myself from it because it's just like, I can't be close to something like that happening. I'll feel way too weird having supported it or having been involved in some way in promoting it.
I think as far as lives being ruined, I'm not sure how that would happen, but like... I definitely think the indie scene right now is like a lot of people thinking they're going to make it, and like, you know, marketing is everything.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So it's like when people hopped on kind of just the general streamer train a few years ago, like, oh, I'm going to be the next ninja, and then you get like 10 subs. Like, no, don't quit your job before you're big.
Yeah, I think we are at least past a lot of people doing that. Like, I only saw one person I follow like quit their job to try to pursue streaming, and I was just like, okay, this is uncomfortable. I'm going to have to stay away from this for a while. Thankfully, he 6 months later, he went back to his job, but it was just like, oh, man, come on, people. You need to be... Realistic expectations, please. Like, you're not going to be... Like, the odds of you being an indie VTuber and not being someone like Nyanners or fucking, like, someone affiliated with this big corporation like HoloLive, which all this shit is just made and manufactured and ready to go... Like, the audience is built in. They probably got whole networks set up to make sure these numbers are where they need to be for debuts and shit like that. Like, a normal person is not going to be doing something like that. And people that are doing the VTuber thing, and they're doing it as a genuine way to express themselves and to get past, like, some on-camera anxiety or to be able to kind of act out a character... That's fine, but I think realistic expectations need to be observed when going into something like this. It is real weird time we're in right now.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Media Virtual left.
Hey, okay. I was just gonna say, hey, Rhett, though.
Yeah.
Titties look real good, though, huh?
They did a great job making the model seem three-dimensional.
Messaged me and I was like, well, I see what you mean.
Live 2D, man. Artists are only going to get better at it. To my Media Virtual left, he's our very own damned fourth Chaos Emerald. It's John Thayer.
What?
Oh, come on.
That one just got me for some reason because that was just a weird one. That one was just left field.
How's it going?
Hi, I'm here.
You're here? Yeah, good.
Good.
I'm glad you're here, John.
Yeah.
You are not fawning over new VTubers.
Thank you for saying it. No, I'm not. But I like seeing hearing Rhett's fawning. It's
absolutely,
it's like
absolutely. I'm not saying in any way don't support VTubers, don't like them. It's nothing like that. It's just for me, it's weirdly uncomfortable for reasons that just feel like. I'm that weird conspiracy theorist. Like, oh, this is all going to come crashing down, and something real ugly is going to come out, and like all these people being taken advantage of, and it's like, oh boy.
I mean, it's going to be it's like the idol industry, right?
It is the idol industry. It literally is the idol industry.
I mean, HoloLive itself is explicitly like we're trying to do an idol thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, significantly more than the other companies.
Like, they have groups and everything. Like, squads. It's all set up. around the same idea. And when you tell me we're doing the idol thing, my mind also goes, oh, you mean all the weird, awful, exploitative stuff too, huh?
No.
I like they. What, have they actually even said like no? I don't think it. I think it probably does not come up.
I just think it's not come up because people like the pretty little fake anime girls playing video games. That's kind of it.
That's the thing is, like, it started as the idol thing, and now streaming video games is just so much fucking easier. That's 90% of it.
Yeah.
And the pandemic kind of screwed up any live show plans.
Yeah.
Even in Japan.
They actually had live show plans. I didn't realize that.
I think only one girl has actually done a live show, and it was in Germany. It was not one of the Japanese girls.
Mm. So what are they gonna do? Fucking, what, are they just gonna be holograms?
I don't know how it works.
Are they gonna be holograms? Is that what we're, like, how far away are we from a HoloLive song and dance tour that's just a hologram that plays for 2 hours? Like, how...
I mean, they literally do that already with like.
Yeah, like, so I wonder. So I wonder how far we are away from HoloLive, just, like, putting together a taped performance and then touring that hologram around.
But they can't say it's taped. They have to act like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
I think the answer of how long until that happens is basically, when's COVID going away?
Go. Oh, okay. It's never happened.
Any day now.
Yeah.
I literally saw, like, the thing that pissed me off about the COVID thing was that, like, apparently Jonathan Davis of Korn, he got COVID, and they were out for, like, they were out touring, and I think he literally got sick, like, the second day on tour.
Yeah.
And literally, like, 2 weeks later, can't wait to see everybody in Chicago tomorrow. Like, what the fuck?
Oh god, was that Lollapalooza?
I don't know. I just know that, like, I like
that was fun to see all those photos.
Yeah,
4 miles from my house.
Great. But yeah, like, I saw that, it was just like, you're just gonna go out, huh? You're just gonna go out and tour again, despite the fact that you just got very ill. You're just gonna go. Okay. What do I know?
Well, you're like super immune after getting it.
Oh, I mean, of course, you get it. Like, the more you get it, So if you go and you just get it 5 times, you are immunity. Your immunity plus 5. And that adds on to your your immuno multiplier. You factor that in.
You're actually safe as long as you immediately go out and infect somebody else within 7 days. It's like the ring.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh my god, that's how it works.
Oh man! All right,
just kidding. Just kidding. If everybody who infected somebody else got sick, then everybody would have been fine.
Yeah.
Wait.
All right. So we got an episode ahead of us here. Well, Rhett more specifically, but how do we want to do this? Because like I said, I'm ceding all of my time. But so do you want?
I think I should start, and when it gets to be too much, John just pushes me out of the way.
All right, John, I want you to steamroll Rhett when you feel that you need to. You're in the driver's seat now. I'm giving you the control of the steamroller.
God.
That is a position that requires a lot of responsibility, and I'm going to trust you with it, despite the fact that I don't trust you a lot.
Well, it's because you know that I'm going to respect Rhett and his time, and recognize that not everything is about me all of the time, as good as my opinions are.
At least, there's at least like 10% of the time things aren't about you.
I know.
Yeah.
It's hard to consider, but don't worry, I'll be fine. Rhett, go for it.
Oh my! I literally kind of don't know how to do this because I'm just staring. So I took 2 weeks off work. That's a long time.
That's a long time to just be absorbing media.
And I just watched anime like the entire time.
Fantastic, beautiful, transcendent, exquisite.
So I'm just looking at this list of everything, and it's not even. Should I just? I don't know.
Just dive in, man.
Go for it!
Like, you got the swim trunks on, just dive in.
So it was so funny because it was like... It was a feeling of like, okay, I have all these things that I've said I'm going to watch at some point, and then I put them off, and I put them off.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to fucking pull those Band-Aids off. And there were a lot of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was looking at that anime. I was looking at that anime list updates, and boy, oh boy, there were some surprises.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Because basically, like, when you keep putting something off for... Okay, some of the stuff had been, like, in the put-off pile for, like, literally a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
fucking Alien 9!
It's time to either watch the thing you said you were going to watch, or just say, I'm never going to watch it, and just trash bin it.
Right.
And a lot of stuff, like, I had a bunch of DVDs that my dad got me for, like, random, you know, Christmas, birthday stuff. Mm-hmm. But they were just, like, random things that he had bought for, like, $3 at a, you know,
and at thrift stores, it would be, like, Volume 4 of Cowboy Bebop.
Not quite that bad. They were all, like, movies or OVAs, so, like, standalone things. Mm-hmm. But it was just, like, I never said at some point, I want to watch this.
No.
So when it becomes this thing that sits on the shelf for a decade, and you still don't want to watch it, you know, that can be...
I had to put away some of the stuff that Polly sent me 10 years ago.
No, I sent it to him very specifically because I didn't want it. I don't want this. I'm foisting my garbage onto you.
Okay, as long as you knew it was garbage when you sent it.
I watched at least half of it I watched. So
there you go.
It feel very nice.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
He got my original FLCL DVDs out of this, okay?
Oh, okay, that's
pretty
good.
He got plenty of use.
He got a good fucking haul, despite the fact that I also put, like, Witchblade and Hellgirl in there.
Oh, I gave Hellgirl to Monty because Monty was missing several DVDs from their set, and
I like Hellgirl seasons.
Yeah, I was like, what's wrong with Hellgirl?
Nicely.
Seasons fine,
and those cases are fucking exquisite. The Funimation did a great job on those.
They're so pretty.
Cool. So I had like 5 DVDs, and I looked them all up on my anime list, and like 4 of them had like a score under 7. So it's like, this
Death Sentence.
This movie that I didn't ever want to watch myself also has a 6.3 on here, or like a 5.65. It's like, okay. But then one of them was in the 8s, and you know what? I still didn't feel like watching it.
Oh, what was the one in the 8?
I think it was Tekken Concrete. I don't even know exactly
Tekken Concrete. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny, because I did end up watching something from the same studio that has a very similar style.
Right.
Later on. Mm. But I didn't like it that much, so it's probably fine that I don't get to the other one.
Right.
Because that was something I'd started, watched like half an hour of a decade ago, and then it went back on the shelf.
Oh,
so that's the even worse thing, where it's like, you know, it didn't grab you the first time. It's not just a complete unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I've stalled long enough. Let's get to the list. So this is just every movie and OVA I watched, and then we'll do series at some other point. First movie, Lou Over the Wall.
What?
This is a newish Masaki Yuasa film.
Oh, nice.
I've seen people compare it to Ponyo. Like, it's, you know, a beach, and there's a cute mermaid character.
Right.
And I'm just
like a line graph, just like, oh, it's Masaki Yuasa. Ooh, it's like Ponyo.
It's got a mermaid.
Well, I mean, okay, but like, not a sexy mermaid. Please don't think sexy mermaid, because it's like a child.
Okay, yeah, understood.
But I really so I'm kind of doing these in order of favorite to least favorite. Mm-hmm. So this was my favorite of the movies and OVAs. Mm. It's just a very joyous, fun thing. And I haven't seen Ponyo, so I can't make that comparison. I just know people do. Mm-hmm. And this came out afterwards. Just a very fun, good, solid movie, I think. It's very music focused, and music focus I found is a good way to just immediately get me into something.
Right, and you also, like, okay, you got my attention. Like, it can't be terrible.
Yeah. It's definitely not terrible. There's some parts that are weird, like, it gets very, very silly at points.
Back of the box quote there, definitely not terrible.
Yeah. Next thing I watched is something that I had also watched like a third of, and then put away for a decade. Mm-hmm. But I went back and I liked it this time. That is Dead Leaves.
Yeah! I love this movie. It's so dumb and big and loud and fun.
I was just in the right mood, obviously, this time, where it's just like, oh, this fucking rules.
It's big, dumb, hypersexual, stupid, in all of the right fucking ways.
It's from Imaishi. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Imaishi.
Who has later gone on to do shows you may have heard like Gurren Lagann and Panty and Stocking and Kill la Kill. Like, and he has a style.
Yeah,
and this is Oh, and also Space Patrol Luluco, which is probably like the closest to this one.
Yeah, like if I don't know why Luluco just did not land when I love Dead Leaves so much, but yeah, I can see the DNA for sure.
It was definitely the opposite for me. It's like, well, I love Luluco. Why didn't Dead Leaves grab me? And then this time it did. I was like, oh, okay, totally makes sense now.
Your brain now has the context to make Dead Leaves work.
It really is just turn brain off, enjoy
just
crazy animation.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good. It's it's only like a 50-minute thing, and they just cram as much stuff into it as they can in an hour. And there's a guy with a drill for a dick.
Yep.
Just really like
good.
Just like, hey, if you, because this was before Gurren Lagann, just being like super explicit about the metaphors there.
I love Tetsuo the Iron Man.
So the next one's a very random poll. It's No Game, No Life, the movie 0.
Okay.
This is something I had watched a while ago at work as like a joke. Like I just threw it on my phone, and then during downtime at work I watched the whole thing. And then by the end I was like, wait, was that actually really good? So I wanted to revisit it at some point, and you know how things go a year later. Okay, I'm finally going to revisit it, and I still actually really liked it. Even though, boy, is there one crazy part right at the start, because it's like, I don't know anything about No Game, No Life, the actual series.
Oh, that makes us even weirder.
But this is a prequel set like thousands of years in the past. So it's really not connected. But I guess like the main characters are like wink wink nod nod reincarnations of the main cast.
Yeah.
Or like the other way around. But there's a character who is a little girl, and in this she's a robot.
Oh.
Apparently in the main series she's the main character's sister. And there are romantic tones with her in this, which makes the sister stuff in the main series
make
super
more sense.
Weird.
Oh boy!
Literally the only thing I knew about No Game No Life was that there were a bunch of incest overtones.
Yeah,
that was the only thing I picked up about it through osmosis.
Basically same, but in the movie they contextualize it where she's a robot and not actually blood related to this guy.
You can
in any way
because like the laws are, you can fuck a robot if the robot is your sister.
She's not his sister.
But I'm just saying, if the robot is your sister, you can fuck it. That's just look. I didn't write the law. I just support and obey
them. It's
actually
Asimov's fourth law.
Yeah, like it. They put that in there. It's like RoboCop's 5th prime directive.
Oy. So this movie follows the trends that I like of just it's kind of total nonsense. The action gets so incomprehensible by the end.
Right.
Where it's like wars between multiple factions with like world level ending capabilities and like this huge army of robot girls. Just it's a fun dumb time. And it like there were a couple trends in the stuff that I watched of like one was a bunch of like early 2000s things I watched in a row, and then this one fit into a trend of robot girls learning how to love. Or like not love, but like robots kind of figuring out what it means to be human. So the fact, because like I watched this and then I watched Planetarian, immediately afterwards. So this is skipping ahead a little bit down the list, but I watched the Planetarian OVA and it's just a straight remake of that game until the after credits.
Because to be clear, a straight remake and significantly worse than the No Game No Life prequel. Much lower on the list.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, this one's in the middle, but it's like I would not see any reason to watch this over the visual novel.
Right.
One, for the fact that the novel is the original. I generally lean towards those, especially like with Higurashi now having read it. Like,
and Planetarian is also like it's not a huge investment time wise.
Yeah, that's the thing. That this is like a 5-episode OVA. It's about the same length.
Yeah,
you know?
and you're getting the better story with the visual novel.
Yeah, but the story is so largely unchanged. They just kind of soften up a little bit of it.
Yeah,
but then
not here for that.
At the very end, I was like, okay, but what about our protagonist? And then it cuts to credits, and I'm like, oh, they're probably going to do the thing as like an after credits fuck you. And then it was me that got fucked. Okay.
Oh,
no. Just kind of got to spoil this a bit. So, movie ends with protagonist walking off into the distance.
Yeah. Just like at the end, yeah.
Credits.
Okay.
But there's no, like, army waiting for him there.
Oh.
And he's not as significantly wounded.
Oh. Yeah.
And then the after credits is just, oh, and then I met 3 more people who were out there.
Oh. That just, no. No thank you.
Yeah.
No thank you.
And they say, like, who are you? And he goes, me, I'm
and then
the
cut
star.
to black.
No, he has some cheesy title. He gives himself some cheesy title, like, I'm the Stargazer.
Oh, my God.
So then there's the... So that's the reason why this is lower on the list, is because they fucked it in the last, like, 30 seconds, literally.
Like, you completely botched it, and all it took you was 30 seconds.
So then there's a Planetarian movie, which I didn't know about before I watched the OVAs, and it came out, like, literally a month after the 5th one, whereas, like, this was kind of the whole time. The movie adds, like, a fan sequel story to the whole thing.
Oh, no.
But it's like, I think it was like a fan disc or something, not written by the original authors. I'm not sure about the whole thing. But the weirdest part is that they use that story as the framing device for everything else. So it starts with, like, the big flash forward to protagonist in the far future.
Yeah.
Even further future. And then he starts telling them the story about this robot that he met. Mm-hmm. And then it flashes back and basically plays the 5 OVAs note for note.
Oh, jeez.
And then there's a new ending at the end of that. And I was just pretty checked out by that point.
Yeah.
Where it's like making this thing some huge saga when it's like, no, this
is like one cute standalone story that didn't need anything extra to be added or anything removed or changed.
Yeah. It's like changing the framing just really, really seemed weird. And even the movie version of that is also, like, significantly softened from, I guess, the novel version. Where, like, the thing on the novel version, the synopsis I read was like, and the settlers, this settlement, they've never seen any other people. And then in the movie, they're just like, oh, hey, are you a traitor?
Oh, no.
Like, oh, the world is supposed to be over, guys.
Yeah,
like you're really missing the point here.
I took away the acid rain thing too.
They took away the acid rain. They do that so that they can have a scene with, the rain becomes tears at the end.
Yeah, like, come on, people.
I kind of got that as an animated thing, but it's really the changing the story.
Yeah, changing it so dramatically and then embellishing in ways that aren't really, like, they don't really kind of carry the same weight as that original story did.
Yeah.
That original story fucked me up, huh?
Yeah. I was so ready for this one to destroy me, and then it kind of didn't. and then right at the end, when they changed the ending, I was just like, so deflated.
Yeah.
What? The Stargazer.
It's so cheesy. Like, that's...
To me, the thing that really makes that ending so much is the fact that the ending, the meat of it, is really lingered on. You live in that space for a long time.
Yeah.
And then everything after that is like 3 text boxes.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, that scene in the anime is still, like, super long, like 20 minutes out of, a 2-hour thing. But then the whole framing of the movie is like, oh, but then the thing they said they were going to do, he actually went and did it himself, because he's like an old man in the movie.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
And he has his own little miniature planetarium. Like, they build... it's so... The more I think about it, the more I'm like, man, this was fucking stupid. They build umbrellas so that he can make a miniature planetarium for these kids. And it's just... The plot has been lost.
Yeah, y'all are... You completely... Yeah, like, what made this story work and why it works. It's like, we don't need the, like June says, the planetarian extended universe.
It really is that.
He walks off after the end. And then Samuel L. Jackson comes up and says, "You're the stargazer, huh? Got a place for you."
Building a team to save the world.
Oh my god.
Hateful.
Oh god.
That's actually how Girls' Last Tour ends as well.
Yeah.
It's the same universe. Universe.
Weirdly enough.
No one saw
Actually,
that.
both the people from Girls' Last Tour and the guy from Planetarian meet up, and then they have like a whole little. They make a village together.
Yeah.
And they find a bunch of other people, and they all live happily ever after. This was all both stories.
Yeah. This next one's kind of weird. So I talked about a show a while ago called Shirobako, which is an anime about making anime, but not the one Paulie's thinking of.
Right.
Not Aizoken, yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that's more about the actual anime industry. Where...
Yeah. No, I know what Shirobako is.
Okay, but there's like a shitload of characters in the show because they're making like real ass anime. So there's like 50 characters.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm the producer, I'm the director, I'm like 5 voice actors. You know, there's just a ton of characters in the show. Like, and they're all under a ton of stress because it's a little too realistic at times. So the Shirobako specials are the first episode of the show they made in the show.
Oh, Lord.
It's so good. Because these shows are so stupid and so over the top, and it's just like... I would watch these if they were real.
Oh, man.
It was heartbreaking because they were just played totally straight as episode 1s.
Yeah.
And then it was like, but you know you're not actually going to be able to continue to watch
rest.
episode 2.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Like, the first episode is the show they made in the first half. I forget. Exodus. It's about, like, these 3 idols that get framed for murder, so they're on the run from the cops. It's just very goofy, kind of Symphogearish energy. Like, I posted a screen cap of, like, an idol. They're like, you don't have the balls to shoot a gun, and she's like, don't underestimate an idol.
Yeah.
That's what this was.
And the other one is like, it's Girls in Panzer it's Girls in Panzer meets Strike Witches, where it's just like realistic military jets fighting against aliens.
Right.
And it was fun. And apparently there's a show that's extremely similar that I'm going to watch at some point. But it was like, man, that one was also like, if this show was real, I would watch it. And then I'm going to skip a little on the list because I also watched the Shirobako movie, which is an actual sequel to the series about them making anime.
But it's lower on the list.
Yeah. So the connection here is that it's been 3 years, and it opens with them watching the premiere of season 2 of one of the shows I just mentioned. But it was done by a different studio. It wasn't made by them.
Oh.
And it's a fan service show now.
Oh, okay.
So our main character, is flying around in a jet, and she does like an aerial maneuver, and her top pops off.
Hell yeah, it does.
It was just like, and they're just like rolling their eyes, like, I can't believe this shit. So the movie was fine. I can't talk about all these because I'm looking at the length of this list.
Yeah?
Well, there's one you have to talk about. You know that one.
I've got okay.
You can make room for that.
There's two he has to talk about. Has to.
I'm not even sure I'm a quarter through, so we're gonna rapid fire these.
All right.
I watched the Hitomae sketch graduation OVA after literally 8 years
of avoiding it,
and it was fine. It was good. It was a very optimistic episode in spite of the trailers, because I realized somebody had mentioned this. The fucking 15-second trailer for this thing put every single crying shot in it.
Oh my god.
They the fucking advertising was so misleading that it got me to hesitate watching this thing that sounded like it was just going to make you ugly cry for an hour. And then it wasn't actually that bad. Like, they were very, like, happy for the characters that graduated. And it's so funny, them talking about those long, those 3 years we spent here, and I'm just like, it's been 8 years since I watched Hitamari. It was, so they were fine. They weren't amazing or bad or anything, but it was like, okay, like, I had, since it's been so long, like, I've already accepted that Himari's sketch ended.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it ended whether I watched the finale or not.
Yeah. I just kind of, like, already assumed that was already done. They had already kind of, like, moved on to a format that I wasn't super into, and I didn't like the new characters at all. So.
The funny thing about that show is I think seasons 2 and 4 were my favorite. So, like, I was, like, not in a position to let it go after season 4. Like, really, I felt recaptured what I loved about that show. And then they're like, and it's over. And I was like, oh. But I know those new characters never really did much, though. And they're barely in these OVAs. Yeah. Because it's really just...
It's not about them. Like, it's not about them.
Yeah.
It's about Sai and Hiro graduating.
Even Yuno and Miyako were barely in it, and there was a part towards the end where you think Yuno is going to start crying.
Oh no!
And I'm just like,
don't do this to me! Don't
fucking do it! She doesn't.
Like even like you can't even make Miyako cry. You can't make that work. No, don't! I'm not here for it. Don't.
Yeah. If this had gone like full brutal sad, like them being really emotional, it would have been way worse.
It would have sucked.
Okay, next thing. Clap. Next show. I watched the Kino's Journey.
So much anime, right?
I'm still at the top of the list, I would say.
Get to tell me when you're at the halfway point, okay? We'll skip there.
Okay.
Cool. So let's keep going.
Okay. I'm splitting it right now. Okay, so I know where the half is. Cool. Kino's Journeys, the OVAs. There was just 2 more episodes of Kino's Journey that I had never watched. That's it.
Oh.
Cool. Were they just more Kino's Journey?
Yeah, they were just more Kino's Journey.
I like Kino's Journey. It's a cool idea, but...
And I hate the new one.
Yeah.
I'm never going to watch that, because I tried to, and I tried watching the new one a while ago, and one of the episodes was a remake of an episode already in the original.
Boo.
And it was just being able to be like, wow, this is like 50 times worse. Just completely killed it.
What was different about it?
Well, one is that the original was actually a 2-parter. It was the arena episode.
Yeah.
They remake that in like 20 minutes in the new one, and it's just awful.
Yuck.
Is there something that was like making the whole show worse?
The art style, for one, is like, it's very... Just everything just didn't seem to come together. Like, that show, I think, just has a mood that could have only been made in like the early 2000s.
Yeah. It's very ponderous. It's very subtle. And I don't think you don't get a lot of ponderous and subtlety in anime anymore, I don't think.
Aw.
Not a lot of it.
Yeah. Next one is just a movie on Netflix that I was like, oh, this looks good. It was called Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop. Just a cute little rom-com. Nothing really to say about it. I enjoyed it. Again, heavy emphasis on music, which...
Man, that's like kind of like all of the Netflix anime. It's just like, it's
really
not a lot here. Nothing worth talking about.
Listen, Polly, I've got like 10 more things. Actually, more than 10. I mean, so this was like, it wasn't quite an 8, but it was a high 7. Right, so that's where we're on the list.
Okay.
Okay, next up was Alien 9.
Oh, boy.
This... So this is one me and Polly watched like a decade ago.
Yeah.
It's a show from like 2001, 2002-ish. So this was also in that early 2000s era that definitely has a certain mood to it. This is a show. This is a show. It's oh god, how do I talk about this one?
It's so.
I've seen it described. Perfectly. It's just hard to articulate. It's a show about middle school girls. And it frames the idea of puberty as like a horror movie.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not wrong. Like that whole idea is totally fine, and I understand where it's coming from. Just very fucking weird show.
It's a very fucking weird show. Like, there was this review that gave it a really low score, but I'm like, that's why the show is good.
Yeah.
Is that they wrote like, things keep happening, and I just feel really dirty and ugly watching it.
It's the whole fucking point.
Yeah, like that's the show. It's such a weird
I'm looking
thing.
at that review now. Good.
So the version I bought also came with the manga, which is the anime was only 4 episodes, so it only did like the first half, and I read the second half, and it was fine. Like I think it kind of loses a bit of like I don't read a lot of manga, so like I'm not used to the whole format. It's just harder to follow for me.
Yeah.
So it just kind of got weird, where it's like it still never explains itself, but they still also keep introducing new alien factions. So it just got confusing.
Yeah.
And then there was like a sequel volume released after the anime that just gets really, really strange by the end. Like there's like one forum post about it on my anime list, and that person is like, I'm not really sure what happened. Because they also get into like doppelgangers and body swapping.
Oh god.
Like people are transferring their consciousness through the hats, I think. So it gets really confusing when you already can't tell the characters apart that much from the artwork. Then they're also swapping personalities around. Like, yeah, it kind of gets weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so I already talked about Shirobako. We already talked about Planetarium. Next one was a movie called Makia When the Promised Flower Blooms.
Okay.
God. So this one I went into like totally blind. It's just fantasy world, and the main character is this race that doesn't age.
Yeah.
And she adopts a baby.
All right.
And then, like 20 minutes into the movie, it kind of cuts, and all of a sudden it's 5 years later.
Oh.
So our main character, did I say she's an elf or something?
Then maybe.
She basically doesn't age. So she still looks like she's 15,
Oh.
and her baby's like 5 now.
Oh dear.
And then smash cut to like 10 years later. Now they both look 15, because he is 15 and she's actually like 30, but she's not aging. And then smash cut to another 10 years later.
Uh-oh.
He's like 25 and she still looks 15.
Oh geez.
And he's feeling real uncomfortable about the whole mom thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can see that.
It's an interesting movie, and they really do deliver on that whole like the premise of you're going to outlive your kid. Are you sure you're emotionally ready for this? And then she's not.
Yeah, of course.
So like I haven't seen that really explored, and then exploring it in a 2-hour movie makes things pretty quickly developing.
Yeah.
But like I did not like this as much as people did, because it has like an excessively high score on my anime list, like an 8.4. And that site kind of hates everything.
Yeah, they are not. Yeah, like that's the bastion of negativity there.
It's not super positive for sure.
I'm trying to figure out why I know Marie Okada. She wrote the anime adaptation of Toradora.
I feel like I've heard that name before too.
She has so much stuff. Holy moly! But I know I knew the name Marie Okada from something like Kisniver. Like,
oh god, weird. I started Kisniver during the break and dropped it. I think I've
never watched that one. I just recognized it.
That's a show where I was like, I knew part of the premise, and I was like, and then there's the part where they fight aliens, right? And then I realized there's no actual like combat in the show, and it's just like, oh, weird. You're just building a squad, and they don't fight things. This is not anime. What's going on?
No. The Simple Gear brain lies dormant and unfed, unsatiated.
Not even Simple Gear brain, but just
regular anime brain.
That's so many shows. It's like you gather like 8 students, you give them like this weird debilitating thing in exchange for power, and it's not that. So I was like super confused. It's like, no, it's about empathy. I'm just like, what?
Oh god, I remember that one now. Yeah, I remember the premise now.
Yeah.
It's like weird Sense8.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose Sense8 was weird. Okay.
Okay, we'll do one more.
Okay.
I watched Kaito, I think is how it's pronounced. This was a hentai OVA.
Okay.
And like for the remastered revision they cut like the 4 minutes of sex out of it
Mhm.
to just make it kind of an action movie.
Right.
The censors at it again.
But like, the fact that they had to cut so little meant it was never actually an important part.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And also, who needs a bunch of not great sex scenes, is to say it lightly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just this kind of gritty movie about a teenage assassin, and she kills people.
Mm.
And there's a few just really shockingly well animated fights. Again, like the animation and action is really good for what was in its original Japanese release advertised as a hentai. And people were like, "Wait, you tricked us!" Like the production company apparently was like, "Wait, you said you were making us porn. You just made an action movie."
Made us action porn. Brett, this is really inspiring that you had like a whole list of things you've been wanting to get to, and you just fucking chewed through so many.
Yeah,
of them.
like there are so many people that sit around whining about a backlog, you know,
But
thinking
that's
they're.
me. That's me.
But they think they're gonna do something about it, but they don't. They just sit around and watch Twitch all day, and then Rhett goes and like, check this out. I'm going to not only dig into my backlog, but I'm going to prove that it is fucking futile to do so.
Yeah.
While you were playing Final Fantasy XIV, I was studying the blade.
Oh my god.
Part of it though is like the reason it's all anime backlog is because the anime backlog was somewhat approachably manageable.
Yeah,
the
like-
game backlog I know is
Oh,
never happening.
That's never fucking happening.
because games are much longer.
Yeah.
Anime has time in, time out, where it's like, hey, this thing is 48 minutes long.
There aren't.
If you just-
There's not a side quest in the middle of an anime
Yeah.
that's gonna make take me another 2 hours.
The side quest is not tabbing over to Twitter because you get a little bored.
Yeah.
if you can just not fucking pause and look at Twitter, you will finish this in 48 minutes. Which means,
Hey, you know what? That's pretty hard though.
oh, believe me, I think out of all these, I think Makia was the one time I was like, this movie's 2.5 hours long. It's like 1 a.m. I'm not going to stop no matter what. And I actually didn't stop. That's like the one time I didn't pause.
That's like a fucking superpower, Rhett. You're inhuman.
Believe me, at the end of all this, I kind of never wanted to watch an anime movie again.
Yeah. I can.
I was so exhausted. I was telling Polly, like,
Yeah.
I am inflicting suffering on myself by the end of this.
Look, like my anime movie backlog is, I want to watch A Silent Voice. I
Ooh.
want to watch
Wait,
Tamako Love Story, and then like 2 others. Yours is so much more powerful.
but mine got culled viciously because I was like, I can't just watch everything on Netflix because it's anime.
That's what I'm saying. Is that this is my cold one. It's like 4 movies.
Yeah, my culled one was like 20, and that was still like more manageable than video games,
You're the anime connoisseur, Rhett.
I guess.
It's powerful.
I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it. I've watched 500 anime, and Simple Gear's the best one. Okay, I think we can pause. I need to pause for a bit.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back to Anime Boy Summer soon. Don't worry.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna rub my hands together because I also want to talk about an animation.
You want to talk about
Oh
animation?
boy.
I finally concluded my journey with an animated story that I've been following for years. Maybe I'll have 2. I don't know. It's a psychological deep dive about a dude dealing with his trauma who has lots of mommy and daddy issues and subsequently implodes over and over and hurts all the people around him.
Yeah.
I finished it, and I don't know if this is going to be a controversial take, but I fucking loved the ending. I thought it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problems with it. I finished BoJack Horseman.
Right. I knew this is where this was going.
Prepped y'all ahead. I was like, hey, I've got a bit.
Yeah, I know. I felt that this was probably going to be where you were headed.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, this basically I've watched this started like when I think there were only 4 seasons, either 3 or 4 seasons, and just kind of kept up with it. The final season came out last year, and I didn't watch it for a good. I just didn't watch it. It was partly because I think the pandemic just fried my ability to do anything besides play video games.
Yeah.
Even you saying it came out last year is like bizarre to me. I was like, oh, that's definitely 2019, right?
Well, it was split into two parts, like Breaking
okay.
Bad. So the
Okay.
first half was first 8 eps was 2019. The second
Okay,
8
so
eps
I'm not
was
completely off the mark there. I'm
no.
like, seems like it's been a while since this ended.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is just, it's just really good.
Okay.
It's really, look, it's one of those shows that's about a really horrible dude and digging deep into his psychology and why he keeps hurting people around him, and that's the kind of thing that can be like a cliche of literature, of literary writing, basically.
Right, yeah.
Is that kind of bullshit, is just like digging really deep into this dude's suffering and like following that and focusing on that to the exclusion of all the people and women he hurts.
Yeah.
And I think a reason it took me to get so long to get to this one, despite loving it, was that I was like, basically every single season I was loving it more and more until we get to season 5, which was a little like repetitious in the sense of like, and then he spirals out again, and then he really really hurts someone, and it sucks a lot, and I really don't feel good watching it, and then he doesn't face any consequences because that's the nature of this world and our world.
Yeah.
And it was a little real, and
I can't imagine why you would have difficulty watching something like that.
And it was a little bit like, it was a little much, and then it was also getting to the point of like, okay, what is this all for, though?
Yeah, like, I think at some point you have to ask, like, are we just wallowing in this now? Are we in some weird way, are we in some weird way glorifying it if we're not going to address it in some way that's a little more substantial?
Exactly, and that's the tightrope walk the show is very consciously watching. And I think that the whole finale season, it does as well as I can even imagine with handling that material, which is just that it is about him finally healing and doing the work and growing in a meaningful, substantive way compared to where he was at before, which is that he had many, many false starts before that. And that's the first half. And throughout that whole first half, things are catching up. And it's the season 2 finale, it's the season 3 finale, and it's the season 5 finale, and it's just this series of awful things this man has done, just kind of starting to spiral around him and catch up. And a big part of your brain is like, oh no, how is he going to get out of this one?
Right.
And your brain, and then you realize, like, well, he probably shouldn't, actually, because he sucks.
Yeah, like that you would hope that's the point they're making.
Yes, you would hope. He is like funny and likable the whole time. The show is never like a chore to watch. It's not like dreary. It's intensely funny, and it constantly. There are so many good fucking jokes about all the people being animals. Like, there's just one where Mr. Peanut Butter, the actor movie star who's also a golden retriever, is at his table in his movie star mansion, and he has a plate and a glass of wine and then just a bone.
Yeah!
He's like, yes. And then you look to the side, and there's like one of those decorative fruit bowls, but it's all full of tennis balls. And there's another scene where like somebody goes, quick, a bird got into the kitchen through the window. And then you go in, and instead of it being like a little bird, it's like a fully grown person bird, wearing like a suit, just like hopping around in the kitchen. Everybody's chasing, get out of here! And like, there are so many good jokes and gags that I can still remember very vividly. There's one payoff in one of the earlier seasons that really sticks in my brain. It's a recurring joke where somebody buys a restaurant that's a fixer-upper, and it's just full of holes, the holes on the floor, and people keep opening the door and stepping in and then falling and then falling. And that happened. They do like a couple iterations of that joke, and they have another one where someone is talking on the phone. They're about to step inside the restaurant. They keep like, he's about to, and then he closes the door and he keeps talking on the phone like, okay, before I go in, let me talk to a little bit more. He keeps going, and then finally he just steps out the other way and gets hit by a car. And the whole restaurant where everybody's been falling and doesn't even come into play.
Fantastic.
So it's very funny. They keep that spirit around throughout the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different characters that are all the characters are neurotic in different ways. I empathize them. My favorite is the golden retriever, is Mr. Peanut Butter, because he's just extremely excitable and happy and loves all of his friends deeply. And then he deals with a lot of issues that come from facing life that way. And I was like, oh, this is nice.
Oh, but just weird that you would relate to that character specifically.
Mm-hmm. As another character, there's Todd, who is introduced kind of like a slacker, couch surfer character. Is constantly coming up with funny schemes and business opportunities, and it's very just joyful. Ultimately realizes he's ace, and the show handles that very tactfully. I think that was like the first time, still like the only time in like a mainstream show I've seen that represented, and that was like 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
Oh, nice.
I think that rules.
Yep.
So I think where the season 6 and a lot of the show really thrives is that it focuses a lot on the internality of the characters that BoJack hurts.
Yeah.
We learn a lot about them. When we see the consequences play out, some of it is the consequences and how it's catching up with BoJack, but in another, it's he seriously hurts someone who's working as a movie star, and she has some issue like PTSD, and that causes her to act out on set like 2 years later or like a year later.
That's fucked.
And then like the director of that movie is talking with the director of another movie, and she's like, hey, how about that character, that person you're working with, how's she doing? She was great like 3 years ago. And he was like, well, I've got to be honest, I've kind of had problems on set. And she's like, oh, maybe not then. And it's just like, oh shit,
wow,
just like this fucking domino effect.
Yeah,
watching the way that this violent act just reverberates through time and denies people of opportunities, denies women of opportunities. And it's like, oh,
too damn real.
And the way the show in the back half plays out, consequences catching up with him, is very brutal and searing and hard to watch, but then also does not give you like any kind of easy out.
Oh, nice.
Like there's no resolution that's very tidy and tragic and cathartic, essentially. And I feel like the way it plays out and the way they handle it, they're very cognizant of like the real world politics of what they're representing as well.
Yeah.
Like with stuff like Bill Cosby and things like that. Like the way they play out BoJack, to me it walked a line where it kept where the show has stayed completely watchable the whole time, where in my like viewer brain I was always like wanting him to be okay and rooting for him as a person to succeed against himself and his own demons. And then I would have to pull back and in my thinking brain realize he deserves this though.
Yeah.
And I think that balance is what keeps it from just being like a chore, keeps it from just being like miserable. But that was also me. I don't know how everyone else is gonna necessarily react. I talked with a lot of a number of friends that have all watched it and have very low tolerance for like man pain.
Yeah, that's understandable.
like literary man angst
Yeah.
lit, and they all seem to basically really appreciate how the show handles it in its back half of its last season, where it feels to me responsible in how it goes about dealing with it.
Yeah.
Doing that kind of downward spiral narrative, basically. And the fact that it doesn't build to like a big tragic cathartic resolution is what keeps it like you never like get that point where you can finally just separate yourself from the damaged people in the show. Where it's like, okay,
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, you have to keep like thinking, what are the ways I am like this? And not necessarily about BoJack, but about all these other characters that are all dealing with their own damages. Right. There's a character that is trying to write a book and goes on antidepressants, and near the same time, and then decides that the antidepressants are keeping her from being creative because she keeps having writer's block after she goes on them, and goes off them and has like a bad meltdown. Yes. Like,
that's pretty fucking real.
Oh. The Mr. Peanut Butter wanting to fix everything, just wanting to make everything okay, just wanting to do whatever it takes. I want to make you happy. I want to make you happy. I want to make you happy. And how that can be the worst thing.
Yep.
In a moment of struggle, in a moment of actual interpersonal conflict. And him having to deal with that.
Yep.
There's a point where one of the lady who's struggling with writing, and then Mr. Peanut Butter walks up and is like, "Oh yeah, I wrote a book too."
Oh no!
She struggled for like a year to get
literally
something out, and he's like, "Yeah, just came out of me in like a weekend."
Why does this feel like such a John thing? Like, why can I can literally see this happening?
I didn't know writing was so easy. Yes, that's always been my experience. So the relationships get wrecked irreparably, like in the finale, and then you keep moving forward from that. It's not the ending.
Yeah, that like you
just keep going.
Keep going, dealing with the fallout. That's the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. I basically feel like this is sort of we talk every now and then about stuff like this. I feel like this is one of those like capital A art shows.
Oh yeah.
Where it's not about just necessarily taking you on an emotional roller coaster and having a fun time.
No.
But the theming of the show holds the viewer culpable in a way that's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And leaves you with lingering unease and catharsis. There's warmth to it too, but it's like Shinseki Iori, where there's no tidy cutaway, or like the original Evangelion, like to call back to that fun gag from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't get that. You're just living in it.
Yeah.
You just living in it, and then it's over, but it's not over. It's still living on in your heart.
Ugh.
And I really cannot emphasize, so fucking funny.
Yeah, like this is a show that's on my to-watch list. I've never watched it, but it's like like I've always loved the premise. I've always loved every clip I've seen from it, and it's just like like I need to sit down and devote some of my time to this because I like art that functions in this manner.
Oh yeah. And while still being just an absolute blast to watch.
Yes.
Making you love everybody and care about everybody, even when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I watched the first 2 seasons a while ago, and he's so bad at the end of season 2.
Don't worry, that keeps coming. Oh,
but like it was already like too much for me. But then season 3 kind of rebounding and being like, oh no, we're fine for a bit. Like kind of realizing it was going to go through that cycle for several more seasons. I kind of just fell off of it.
Oh my god, Red season 3's finale is so rough. It's so rough.
You're
Red.
Definitely making him want to watch it. That's for sure.
Season 2 finale sucks. It hurts a lot. Season 3 is so bad. Oh. That's sort of
I'm just gonna say I believe you.
Yeah.
Like I said, if your intent is to get Rhett to watch this show, you're making a hell of a case.
I'm not
I
trying
don't
to.
know.
I'm saying if he was already off the train, that was maybe the right time to hop off. Because I feel like the part where he was like, "I'm out," was like where the show is like, "Yeah, this is where we're going next. Enjoy."
It just like I forget how it went exactly, but season 2 felt like so much of he's on the road to recovery, and then the finale hits, and it's just like, just kidding.
That's the cycle. That is the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
There is no tidy happily ever after. But
Even
and again,
that's fine.
maybe outside season 5, like it didn't feel repetitious to me. Season 4 especially goes in kind of a different spiraling direction that's very cool. I think. All right, what are you gonna say, Rhett?
I don't even remember. So go ahead.
But yeah, I think this is just one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Cool.
I'm glad I finally went back and just wrapped it. I kind of knew it would be really good.
Yeah.
I just never went back to it. It's very funny keeping up with Rick and Morty as well while watching this because like those two shows almost seemed like sister shows at the start, where it was like, oh, we're kind of doing similar things here. We're doing this shithead dude. It's like deep dive story. And then Rick and Morty has just almost completely dropped that. Like, it's just goofball hijinks, and he's a shithead, but it's still fun. We're just one big dysfunctional family.
It's kind of like this is like sort of like the Family Guy version of BoJack Horseman at this point, where we're just reveling in how shitty he is at this point.
Yeah, there's definitely like an indulgent component, and like I can imagine of just like being this shithead god basically in Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
and I like those first 2 or 3 seasons a lot. But I feel like the show has very firmly stated, Rick and Morty has very firmly stated at this point that it is not interested in going in any kind of artistic direction. This was always about the funny, haha, goofy sci-fi premises. This was never actually going to be anything bigger than that. Don't expect anything more than that, please. We have to make 6 more seasons of this. We can't do that. We can't make art. Sorry.
Yeah, it just wasn't. Is there any sort of story arc at all in Rick and Morty?
It seemed like there was going to be, and they basically just kind of, and they made like jokes to the effect of like, haha, we're never going back to this. We're not doing it. We're not doing.
Oh, that's like the worst. Where like they had a vision, it almost seems like, and then it became super duper popular, and they were just like, anyway, 6 more seasons instead.
It's
anyway,
like
6 more seasons. Haha. Let's Peter Griffin this shit.
Oh my god, it's dire.
Yeah, if there is a show that I just like, you want to fucking torture me with, like, yeah, we'll throw on some Rick and Morty, because, oh god, it's certainly it fits the bill as insufferable.
I really like the first couple seasons. I've rewatched them several times, but I'm just like, but there was a promise I felt the show made to me. Yeah, I felt like BoJack made a similar promise, and I didn't know if BoJack would be able to like pull it home, and it completely did. Cool. And then Rick and Morty, there's no chance in hell. There's no interest in that.
Nah.
So I really like this. That was a blast. That show was a blast. I'm glad I went back to it. I could throw it back to Red. I have
or
several...
throw it to a break.
Red.
If you have more, go ahead.
I have just several movies I watched. I didn't really play many games at all. I just watched movies and read.
Not a lot of games this episode. Like I said,
really not.
Like I played Mary Skelter and a couple demos, man.
I'm plucking away at Trails from Zero. I'll finish it. I'm so mad that I didn't finish Trails from Zero before starting grad school.
Yeah.
That's
rough.
Clean break.
Nope. That ain't happening.
Nope. I'm still in it.
It'll always be there for you. Always.
Always. The rest of Trails may very well be there for me.
Oh no. Yeah, I meant this game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm gonna finish it. I'm getting there. I'm in the tail end of I don't know. I mean, I could be a third through it.
No, I definitely think you're getting into it now for reals. with some of the stuff you posted today.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it's a 5-chapter game, so I don't know how much the last chapter is just going to be like plot explosion or whatnot. So,
Oh, it's gonna go for sure.
yep, we'll see. So we'll wrap that up hopefully next episode, God willing. I saw The Green Knight with my brother and partner in theaters. This was just like somebody just told me, like William just pitched me. I was like, it's artsy Arthurian legend stuff, and I was like, I like Arthurian legend for some reason. I'm not gonna think about it just for some reason. It's just very interesting to me.
Oh.
And this is just like, I'll show y'all like the trailer, like the poster or something, or you can just Google it, The Green Knight. It's just like extremely talking, like Polly said, ponderous earlier, for like ponderous anime.
Right.
Like this is that. It was like 2 hours 15 minutes, and it takes its time. It takes its sweet time.
Luxuriates.
It luxuriates in various shots and images. It's very arty and slow, and I really loved how this one wrapped up. This is it, like I just kind of let it take me for the ride, figure it out. I had my idea in my brain. I was like, okay, this is about mortality. It's about facing mortality. And I just kind of lived in that little read for most of the movie, and the way all of these it has a bunch of extremely imaginative images and set pieces, and then the way it resolves is just absolutely fantastic. The way it wrapped up for me, I was really, really satisfied going out of the theater. This is one of those movies where it makes a lot of weird promises, and where it could just really go either way, and then the way it worked for me, I was just extremely happy with it. So hopefully once that one's on streaming or whatnot, give that one a look. Every year, whenever I'm with my mom lately, I'm like, hey, I have this movie I've been wanting to watch. Let's just watch it together. And she'll go, okay, happily. And then both of the last few times, it's been something really weird.
Uh-oh.
So last year I got her to watch I had watched the first 2 Joan of Arc movies that I knew I cared about. Not the one Rhett knows. Sorry. And it was either last year or the year before. And then I wanted to watch, I heard that there was a musical one, foreign musical one. And I got my mom to watch it, and it was over 2 hours long. And it was like a bunch of non-actors singing, like, with nothing happening for 2+ hours.
Oh god!
It's one of those like very, very dense party movies that is beyond me.
Oh yeah.
My mom was just like, "Oh okay." We're both just like,
"Hey mom."
So like by an hour in, I was like, "Mom, I'm sorry." Like, well, we're this far in now.
Yeah, we can't pull the ripcord at this point. Hey mom,
No.
have you seen Human Centipede?
No, it wasn't. It was not quite to that level. But it said this year. So my mom is deep into like 70s, 80s music, especially 70s music. So like Led Zeppelin, especially, Queen. Every time I'm down there now, we watch the Queen Live Aid concert, which is this 20-minute clip, which is just very fun.
Good stuff.
And I was like, Mom, let's watch Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Yes.
Because I've watched that. I've watched several rubbernecking videos about that awful
Doug Walker shit, yeah.
And it's so fun. It's so much fun to watch it get torn into because it's so embarrassing.
Yeah, like it's one of the most tone-deaf pieces of media I think the internet has ever spawned. It's just like, how can you be so joyous, so joyously and uproariously fucking stupid?
Just like completely dense and incurious and uninterested.
I had to think about this. That means it's bad.
Oh my god, it's so choice. So I've watched probably like between rewatches, like across like several YouTubers, like 6 or 7 hours of content.
Doug Walker just getting intellectually powerbombed through a building.
I rewatched the Folding Ideas one especially, just like, oh, this is so choice, because the way the Dan Olson one starts is just like extremely moving, affecting read of the movie for like 8 minutes.
Very good.
And then very good. Like here's what it is like to actually talk about this movie like an adult.
Yes.
and then just like piecemeal dismantling the man making this.
Oh, it is such a precise and visceral cut down of a human being's intellect, and just complete lack of intellectual curiosity.
It was like 6 minutes where Doug is just like, oh, you're just complaining about your teachers because you're a whiny high schooler, and then Dan is just like, oh, you see. He talks about the school system. He talks about a number of the dynamics at play in that thing, and by the end of it, you can tell how just like coldly angry Dan is.
Yeah.
Like very righteously so. Like he understands the complicated politics behind this hard problem.
Yeah.
And is incensed that this dude just was like waltzed in. Like,
Pee pee poo poo fart.
Here's my political cartoon about this. Just like,
oh my god.
Oh, just like talking about it like a grown up, and it's so choice. So I've been interested for ages because I love Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
they're one of my favorite bands.
They're great.
Yeah. Like Wish You Were Here is one of my favorite albums.
Yep.
Just period. That whole run from just from Dark Side of the Moon through Animals, or from Metal through Animals, is just so choice.
Yep.
But I didn't really have a close relationship with The Wall. I had a close relationship with the shorter albums, Metal and Wish You Were Here, and Dark Side of the Moon, especially Wish You Were Here.
Mm-hmm.
But The Wall was just a little too long, and I didn't quite grok it.
Yeah.
And watching this movie, you get it.
Yeah.
This is a extremely effective series of images and filmmaking accompanying these tracks and telling this story. And it's another downward spiral story, just kind of a running theme here. About a shithead dude hurting people around him. And it's really good. And the way, and like there's a bunch of really extremely choice animated sequences too that are just very well done. Mm-hmm. I don't really like, I feel like if you're familiar with like one of my like formative albums was the Downward Spiral, just like since that's what I keep referencing here. And this was like such a strong example of that tradition, especially with the visual component. I feel like it really did kind of bring it all home for me emotionally. And it's really cathartic. The thing with arty movies that I kind of had to realize with approaching them was that it's not like an intellectual puzzle where you have to learn what it means, and if you learn what it means, then you've won the movie. Mm-hmm. And you've appreciated it correctly.
I think that's the worst way to indulge in these kinds of things.
Because the thing about arty movies like Green Knight or Pink Floyd The Wall or like The Lighthouse is one from a couple years ago I really liked, is that just kind of appreciating them on a visceral level, just letting them wash over you. They're still very just affecting and involving. Mm-hmm. And they still pull you if you're engaged and trying to think about what it means, and if you're trying to engage with it emotionally, then they pull you in.
Yeah. When
they're good. And this just absolutely did that, where I was just entranced the whole time. Especially with the very, very cathartic trial and resolution. So this rules, Pink Floyd rules. It made me really happy. And did y'all have any thoughts on that one? I don't know anything about y'all's relationship with like Pink Floyd or anything.
I mean, I love Pink Floyd and I like the movie. Like, I am not like... Look, I'm a dumbass and I know where my strengths and weaknesses lie, and me sitting around trying to dissect an art film and explain to you what it means, and like I can tell you what it means to me and things like that, but like I don't know that like anything that I can say about it at this point would be anything you haven't already heard from like any of the dissections of that movie at this point. Like, I think it is a wonderful piece of work. I love it.
Yeah, I was definitely playing with like the cheat codes on because I watched the Dan Olsen video.
Yeah.
Going into it like, okay. Well, I know what this means. I know what this is referencing. This was in Thatcher era.
Did you pipe up while the movie was going to impress these points upon your mom? Like, look how smart little baby John is.
You know I was.
I was fucking hoping you would.
Full on asshole. Don't worry about it. No, I was very cognizant of not like wrecking her film watching this. She had a good time too. It was much better than the Joan of Arc musical.
Yeah,
The childhood of Joan of Arc.
I happened to watch The Wall for the first time like 3 years ago. So before, obviously, like that video you just mentioned where, here's what it actually meant. So like that was my realization. That's what it all meant. Okay. When I watched the movie, I was just like, yep, that sure was a thing. Mm-hmm. Good music though.
Yep. Great.
It's really good music. The children into the meat processor is like an all-timer image.
Yeah, like that.
That's so good.
Like you don't get any more on the nose than that, do you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, yeah, when you watch art movies, you don't exactly get much solid narrative.
No.
Which is usually what I'm personally looking for.
Yeah.
I think the only bit where I kind of got adrift for a while was when it was the whole fascist section near the end. I was like, okay,
yeah,
so he's falling apart. He gets pulled into this. Is this like, because he's a vulnerable dude, he's getting pulled into fascism as an outlet. Or am I just reading that because that's the world right now?
I mean,
has that always been the world?
It's art. I think that art is always going to be interpretive, and like when you look at it like that, I think that is a valid read in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, watching this 3 years ago, with that president,
right?
It felt super relevant at the time, and it was very uncomfortable.
It'll probably be relevant for a long time.
Yeah.
I really like the theming of the tear down the wall at the end because I've been using that verbiage a lot. Is like a little wall around my heart. Without even like not
consciously pulling that, right?
It just felt like a clean metaphor.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, I fucking love this.
Yeah, good shit.
All right, I've got one more movie, and then we're gonna toss it back to Rhett.
Okay.
This is a little one. I watched The Cat Returns.
Oh,
is that Miyazaki?
Nope.
No.
Oh, oops.
Good. I've watched every Miyazaki somehow. I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
I really burned out hard. Ghibli in general,
man,
like 3 or 4 years ago.
All it took for me to burn out on Ghibli was Spirited Away. I was like, okay, this is where I get off this fucking boring ass bus.
I still really like Spirited Away. I think Howl and Ponyo in Wind Rises. I'm just like, nope. Nope.
So Cat Returns is Ghibli, but it's not Miyazaki.
No, and it's not Miyazaki, and it's not.
Okay, I kind of just.
It's not Takahata either.
Okay.
Who I also have had historically had a lot of trouble with because I watched Grave of the Fireflies and did not cry.
I think we're all in acceptance on that one.
Listen, I think that that Graveyard of the Fireflies is a very emotional movie, but I think the people that really want that movie and anime to be seen as a very legitimate art form want you to really cry at it because that makes it deeper to them. And I don't think that it's going to elicit that reaction in every single person that watches it. Did not cry either.
Yeah, I just didn't really.
I'm not saying it's not sad. I'm not saying it's not sad, and I'm not saying that it's a bad film. I'm just saying Look, y'all, calm down. Not everybody's going to
Calm
cry.
down.
Calm down. Let's
Just
have
calm
a chill.
down.
Let's have a chill here, okay?
I watched Grave of the Fireflies and I watched Princess Kaguya.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I remember nothing from Princess Kaguya. That movie I watched it intently, and that movie just completely rolled over my head, rolled over my back.
Yeah.
And then I finally looked it up, and I found out, oh wow, this one is like 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Not actually going to do like a fun revisit of that one to see if I missed something. And also, I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was 100% critic rating,
Of course.
90% audience ranking. I was like, whoosh! Sorry, y'all.
Yep.
This is. Yeah, I don't know. He passed away several years ago too, so this is extra.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My bad.
Sorry.
My bad.
So like, those are the two big Ghibli people right now. I still love like Castle in the Sky. I still love. Like mine are. Look, everyone has their Ghibli movies. Mine are Castle in the Sky, Kiki, Totoro. Definitely Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just waiting for that one.
It's just Kiki and Mononoke for me at this point.
Yeah. And I'm still down for Spirited Away. I could still see revisiting that one periodically. Porco Rosso doesn't really do anything for me. Nausicaa doesn't really do anything for me. And then all the stuff after Spirited Away definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, and I want to rewatch Castle of Cagliostro.
Yeah.
The third of the three Castle movies.
Yeah.
The first in the Castle series.
The Castle trilogy.
So go ahead, Rhett.
Cagliostro was on my list of stuff to rewatch because a VTuber did a watch along with it.
Aww.
But it was like, I've already seen that movie, and I've got a whole bunch of other movies, so that one got shelved for a bit.
Yep. We got to get all this new shit out of here.
Yeah.
I remember that one being very fun.
It's very good.
Yes. It's
I
fun
haven't
as fuck.
seen nearly as many, so like that would probably be my second favorite. Just because I haven't seen like 80% of them.
Oh my fucking god. I had to watch Howl's Moving Castle so many times, y'all.
I just saw that once in theaters and thought it was fine.
It's
It's
fine.
fine.
It's fine. That's the point. It's fine.
Oh,
I'm not
dude.
here to watch 2 hours of fine.
Yeah, like it. Yeah, like I feel like with the movies, like I watch so few. This is me watching movies. I have not watched like almost any movies for the last like year and a half. Like I've
Right.
watched maybe 5 movies before before August since like March of 2020 because I was just I couldn't engage that way. I couldn't not look at Twitter.
Yeah.
And I've just been like, there are so many movies that are just like basically perfect, that are just like completely stellar.
Right.
So I really don't have to feel like I need to make excuses for whatever. I'm in that kind of like not super deep into media thing where I've just got a huge like buffet of basically perfect movies I get to enjoy. Like I've got my letterbox. I've got so many I desperately want to watch that I know are just gonna be basically perfect.
Yeah.
So like Polly had that Scorsese binge, and I've got several
Yeah.
Scorseses I'm like
Yeah.
really ready to get to.
It's gonna be good shit.
I haven't talked at all about Cat Returns. Really, it's just it's like 75 minutes. It is so short. It's so cute.
Oh, good.
It's so nice. It's just like this low stakes, but not low stakes in a way that's unengaging. It's still
Right.
like it pulls you into its world without it being super scary, but it's just like a low key fun adventure movie. And like it was just like the perfect antidote to the ponderous and like aimless and meandering Ghibli movies I had seen. Oh god, I saw the Borrowers one. That zero impression. I saw it in theaters. Zero impression on me. No room in my heart for that one. But everybody cherished it because it was Ghibli. I was just like, well, that's how this goes, huh? And then this one, just complete opposite. I just totally loved it. It just like I just had a smile on my face. Like it's not a big thing. It's not a serious thing. It's not like a thematically weighty thing. It's just a nice little adventure. I liked it a lot. And those are my movies. Those are my movies, y'all. I had a
Cool.
good time. So, do y'all want to take a 5-minute break?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
And we can get through the rest of Rhett's list.
The summer of Rhett continues.
Yep.
We will be right back. All right. I see you there. I see you unmuted. I don't know. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, buddy. This is how you
I think
podcast. This is how you podcast.
Yeah. I think I've escaped today with minimal damage. I'm only going to subscribe to one of the new Hololive girls.
Only one.
But I love her.
The rat is cute, apparently.
The rat's pretty cute. Yeah.
Let me see the rat. Where's the rat?
As
somebody who does have an appreciation for...
How do I
don't know.
Group DM?
Group DM, it's up there.
Okay, there it is. There's her debut stream.
I'm not watching
I haven't...
the stream. I ain't watching this stuff. You kidding? I don't like the design, though.
You take my cheese.
All right, let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
The collar's cute. Oh, the little ears, though. I get it. I appreciate it.
I like the teeth.
Of course. Well, yeah. That's the...
Okay, I have to close this. I'm just saying, like, 4 of them are like, yeah, she seems good, and one of them I'm like, simp immediately.
I don't like any of these designs. Holy crap.
No, it was explicitly when I heard one of them talk, I was like, oh my god, her voice is fucking good.
Yeah, I'm looking at, like, I think all these new designs are actually really bad and boring.
They're kind of crazy.
I think they're boring, and they're they're way overthought. Like, there's just, like...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
the over-design is off the charts, for sure.
Like, that's sort of, like, the same issue that I think that Falcom's running into, is that, like, their outfits are just way too extra now. And
I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, was it really the point of Ys 9? I don't know. They really got crazy in that one.
Yeah, like Ys 9 especially, and there are some instances in Cold Steel as well where I feel that just like, guys, I think you're just way overthinking this, and it's just the designs are so busy, especially with the girl down at the left for some reason. She's just bothering me. The plant girl, like Tingu put an image in chat of all the new girls, and I just think, like, yeah, these designs are way too busy.
I like the blue girl. I don't care. Her design's a little busy. The helicopter is silly.
Yeah.
But her voice, it's entirely her voice.
I immediately went, oh, I like Plant Girl. Just like the green hair. She looks like a forest spirit.
I mean, and she has bare feet.
Well, there you go.
My brain.
There you go. It was like
she literally posted an image of her design and it said like bare feet on it.
The only confirmed bare feet VTuber. That girl's going places.
Hey, Red, number 2 from the left.
I don't see the image.
She's got titties that are gigantic.
Is it the darker skinned girl?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't see the image, but I knew which one you were talking about anyways. She kept saying Sana is big. Like her whole meme is big.
I like the rat girl's smug face in this one.
Oh, definitely.
Poncho points out there are 2 barefoot girls in this pic.
Poncho, I think Poncho has ended up somehow in the he has somehow ended up in the VTuber
rabbit
hole,
hole.
and
Yeah.
it's been weird because I see Poncho being the one making the VTuber references, and it's just like, what? That's not Mike Patton. That's not Guns N' Roses. What are you doing? Who kidnapped you?
I think it's cool when people.
I mean, it's fine, and love what you love. I'm not saying don't.
Mm-hmm. My feed, my VTuber content on my feed is delivered by Rhett and several lesbians. That's my timeline.
So several lesbians.
I didn't have anything else. The only thing I could have potentially talked about is that I think could maybe I feel guilty because I feel like it could have made like an interesting discussion. Would have been digging into Alice Sebald's The Lovely Bones and the accompanying memoir and how they inform each other. I want to opt out of that discussion right now. I'm not up for it.
Surprise of surprises, I'm not either, weirdly enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no,
I don't think I could contribute anything to that.
Yeah, I literally have nothing for that. So
no, thank you. It would just be very heavy, and I'm not feeling it. So,
all right,
it's not.
So why don't we go ahead and return once again to the summer of Rhett?
God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these next ones are gonna go quick.
Let's do it.
Because Polly doesn't really have anything. She played Mary Skelter.
Yeah, we're about done. This is the anime hour. Let's do it.
Literally the anime 2 hour.
Yeah. Like, you got anime of the decade. That was your big... we did anime of the decade just so you could say Symphogear was the best anime of the decade. Let's be real here. None of those other entries mattered.
Monica matters.
Shinsekai Yori mattered.
Shinsekai Yori mattered the most.
I think Madoka mattered the most, but okay.
Okay, whatever.
That image of like the 3 people in the boardroom. What's the anime of the decade? Monica, Shinsuke Yori, and then there's me, Symphogear, and then gets thrown out the window.
I mean, we all had our thrown out the window options because Polly had Haruhi, and I had Fate Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Symphogear was my number 1. You guys had the others.
Reasonably placed.
A tactful number 3 for Fate Zero. A tactful number 2 for Haruhi. Rhett, tell us about more anime movies you've watched.
God.
We're so hard. We're so ready for it. We're so ready for it.
Okay, so this one was really just kind of a checking the box off a list one. Where it was like, I said I was going to watch it, and then I watched like half an hour 5 years ago or whenever it was recent. I watched Psycho Pass the movie, the first one, because there's more.
Okay.
Apparently, there's like 3 movies now, but one of them is like actually 3 hour-long things that Anyways, this is the only one that the original author, Urobuchi. I almost said Uchikoshi. I was like, that's not him.
You can tell because Urobuchi is the one that writes good stories.
Well, I feel like Psycho Pass is his universe, and like everything I've read about season 2 is, don't watch that one.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, so I figured I would just put a cap on this universe with the movie that he... I'm sorry, my throat is dying.
I feel like we got intense ragweed right now, and the allergies are fucking real.
I talk for like an hour a week, and this is it, so that my throat's just dead at the end of these podcasts. Like, I will have days at work where I just don't talk to anybody the entire time. It's wonderful. So my throat literally doesn't get that much exercise.
I'll give that throat some exercise.
Oh, Jesus.
Are you scared to talk to people because your hedgehog quills will hurt them?
I'm scared because there's a fucking pandemic out there as well.
That too.
That is explicitly transmitted via talking.
He's talking about the vocal cord parasites, obviously.
I saw something. Okay, this is off topic. I saw something last year about. Did you know that COVID spreads easier through English because of how our pronunciation works?
Oh man!
And I was just like, Jesus Christ, fucking Kojima. Like, that's kind of wild to have that out there of an idea, and then like a couple years later, it kind of happens. Anyway, Psychopaths the movie was kind of forgettable.
Aw.
It was just like, hey, what was it? Like, they go to another nation that is like developing their own civil system. Like, they licensed it from Japan, and all the very fun issues that has, because like it's kind of a police state thing where like they can arrest people based on their emotions.
Yeah.
Like, it's Minority Report kind of thing. But then because it's like not actually being overseen by Japan, like it's a super corrupt version of that.
Yeah.
Where like they have like implemented hacks and like it's giving false readings and they're using that to kill people. Like, it's an even darker take.
Okay.
Next movie I watched was the one from Studio 4C who did Techno and Concrete. This is a recent one though. It's called Motherfuckers.
I like the name.
I think it's based on an American comic. I don't really know anything about it. I just saw it on Netflix and it was like, yeah, that looks fine. And it was fine.
Fine.
Like, again, I'm not a huge movie guy, and like the action in this just felt a little slower than it should have been the whole time. Like comparing it to something like Dead Leaves, where
it's 45 minutes and non-stop insanity.
Yeah, this is like, even if it's like an hour and a half, I forget how long it was. Even if it's like twice as long and like half as much action happens in it, something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, like watching those so close together was like, this is a not as good version, kind of, because it is that same style, similarly of it's pretty nonsense and crazy, but doing that in where it's much slower is just not as fun. There's one very good line where one character is just like, dude, did you just fucking kill a cop? Like, because the cops are after them for some reason. It's like this big faceless goons, like they got bodysuits and masks on, and then he just grabs one of their guns and shoots them.
Just killed a cop. Now I'm horny.
I was like, okay, it's right near the start, so I'm like, this movie has potential, and then it kind of didn't live up to that, basically. So the next thing I watched was, so Kaito came as a 2-pack. That's one I actually have on DVD. It sat on the shelf for like a good 5 years. So there's the original movie, which was edited from a hentai OVA. And then the sequel 10 years later that just was Liberator.
Yeah, Liberator.
It's not very good.
Yeah. I remember when that came out. Oh boy. Yeah.
Boy, realizing that this was a 2008 show and like, or a 2008 movie, and like probably looks worse than the original.
Yeah.
And like when you think of what shows back then started to look like in 2008, like Gurren Lagann had happened, Code Geass had happened, like this feels a good decade older than it actually is. And then just the whole story of like, hey, instead of being like this gritty, assassin thing, now we're in space.
Yep.
And there's aliens. Just really missing the tone of the original entirely. It's funny because I had thought that like, oh, people don't like the sequel because it's going to be kind of schlocky. And then it's like, but the original was the super violent hentai one. This is just kind of boring.
Yeah.
That's even more of a sin.
Like, you can't go from weirdly, like, over the top and silly to just, well, it's boring.
It's just kind of boring. And, like, so tonally dissonant from the original where it's like an alien, like these guys on the space station turn into aliens and they crash to Earth and then she's sent to assassinate them. It's just like, this has really kind of lost what the original was.
No weight at all.
Yeah. She's fighting against this bulletproof monster. Like, this is weird. And then the final movie that I watched right after the 2 weeks of, the binge.
Yeah.
And I was like pretty exhausted at the idea of watching movies. And then this came out and I was like, well, gotta be part of the discourse.
Gotta pull that bandage off.
I watched Evangelion 3+1 Thrice Upon a Time.
Okay. Is this the point where we want to get people like a chance to bail if they're
I
going
have
to
more
bail?
to talk about, so I do have more than talk about, so we can just skip it for now.
Okay, we will circle back around to Evangelion 3+1.
Yeah.
But you watched that. We'll get
Yeah.
to what you thought of it later.
Yeah. So that was just the list of movies and OVAs.
God.
I also watched some series.
You had to be watching anime from literally the moment you woke up till the minute you were shaking your dick off to take your evening piss before going to sleep.
That's one way of putting it.
It
really
is.
wasn't. It really wasn't that much. It was like if I can watch like 2 things a day,
Yeah.
it's a lot. And that's like 3 to 4 hours of a day, you know.
But
and
like
then
you're tacking series onto this.
But most of this was actually in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
Or some of it was. Well, the first thing, the thing I really wanted to talk about today, my number one priority, top of the list, favorite show I watched. So I'm a spider, so what?
Yes.
What? Bewildered right now.
Holly, I'm not sure what gave you the impression I didn't like this show.
I don't know. The tweets did not. I don't know. They just didn't read.
I mean, there's
like somebody enjoying it to me.
Everyone, I read the complete opposite. I was like, oh my god, this looks delightful. You're making this sound delightful.
There was a show from a few years ago called something like That Time I Reincarnated as a Slime.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that show because I felt they had a good premise and instantly squandered it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Where like the first episode of that, because I think the premise of that show sounds like your main character is a slime, the weakest enemy.
Yeah. You can do a lot with that.
Yeah. So they've got to be smart and cunning to survive. They've got to outwit their opponents. So the first episode of that show is basically, it's been a bit, maybe it's the first 2 episodes, but I recall it as the first episode.
Right.
And it's just, they learn how to absorb enemies and gain their powers. And so they go around the starting cave, absorb everything, and then there's a dragon at the end, and they like absorb the dragon and make a deal and become like insanely overpowered by the end of episode 1.
Right.
And the entire show is just them kind of cruising through life after that and facing absolutely no resistance. That was not how I would have written that story.
No.
So, I'm a spider, so what? Feels like the realization of that premise done more justice.
Right.
Because the spider does eventually become incredibly powerful through bullshit.
Right.
But it fucking takes a while. It's the entire first half of the show.
Good.
The first half of the show is Spider in cave trying to survive.
Yes.
And there's a shitload consuming the downed victims that she kills.
There you go.
Like there's definitely a loop here of find enemy that is too strong for her to deal with, miraculously find a way to kill it, and then eat it and level up. Like
That sounds like a good show.
It's pretty gnarly at times. Like the very first thing she fights is like a frog, and it spits acid on her and like melts half her body away.
Oh, good.
Not half, but she like gets it in the face and like her eyes like scarred.
Oh.
But then when you level up, you heal,
Right.
like an RPG.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the reason I compare it to Slime also is because they both have the exact same premise of they're in an RPG isekai.
Yeah.
Like there's straight up a voice talking to Spider like, you leveled up. You can buy this skill now. Well, like, you have 100 skill points. Here's a list of your skills. You're level 2 now. Like, it is just giving, like, these extremely detailed RPG stat readouts.
It's the stuff they kind of hint at. It's something like Konosuba, but don't really go all the way into, whereas this is diving much further into that.
Yeah. Konosuba is kind of like the we don't give a fuck version of that, where they'll just go, oh yeah, and then he bought steel, which allows him to magically steal panties.
Yeah.
Like, it's the parody version, of course. Whereas this, it's like a huge part of the plot, and like, it rationalizes some of the bullshit so that it doesn't feel like bullshit because it's it slowly builds up over time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole level up thing, being able to heal yourself, means that this is not so. Oh, the main character is voiced by Oi Yuki, who does Hibiki.
That's why you watch the show in the first
Which
place.
is why I watched that show. But also, what a perfect... There's never been a more perfect show to watch for a single voice actress, because
It's all her.
it's
For, like, half
all
of
her.
it.
It's just, like, the first half of that show is her talking to herself for, like, 80% of it. She just monologues constantly. And then they even do a thing where she gains, like, multiple brains, so she has parallel minds that are also voiced by her. So there's 4 of her talking to each other in one body.
They're getting their money's worth out of this voice actor.
They
Jesus
really
Christ.
definitely worked. I was like, I hope you got like an above average paycheck for this one, because you definitely did a ton of the heavy lifting in the first half.
Mhm.
And then she, the story couldn't stay the same forever. I get it.
Mhm.
She does learn magic eventually. She does start to get really ridiculously powerful, but they find a way to always make the fights exciting. Because there's kind of this rule of there's always a bigger fish to fry.
Right.
It's like, even when she's killing dragons, oh, now the Demon Lord is after her. And then there may be levels above that. There's always the bigger fish to fry. So, like, it never gets boring in that she becomes invincible.
Cool.
Even when she becomes invincible. She literally... She gets a skill called immortality. and they don't, and the tension still doesn't immediately dissipate. Because she still isn't actually, there's still ways around that. Because everyone in this universe, at the point they become broken.
Yeah.
Right, this sounds like it's tapping into something fundamental about the isekai appeal,
Yeah.
while dodging around a lot of the lousier parts because it's this lady spider MC who's by herself.
Okay, so now I have to drop the
It's
show.
really interesting.
I gotta
Go-
drop the foot on this show.
All right.
Even though it is my favorite thing, still, it kind of was barely. So I keep saying the first half of the show.
Yes.
The second half changes things pretty dramatically, and it's not as good. Because in the first half of the show, there are these interludes to a group of human characters.
Mhm.
And it actually does do a thing that I had wished another show had done, where it's like, when she died, it wasn't just her, it was her entire classroom.
Right.
Like,
Oh.
it was this random high school, their whole class just fucking blew up. So you learn that not all of them reincarnated into this world. So you have this other group of characters, like 5 of them, and it's like 2 of them are princes, one of them's a teacher. Like, the teacher from the human world is also a teacher in the isekai. Like, they're all, like, the characters you meet are all kind of living a pretty nice life. One of them turned into a dragon. They're all doing pretty well. And, like, they're aware that there are other people, and they kind of want to gather everybody up together and, form the band of reincarnations.
Mhm.
Their parts of the show are kind of boring as fuck, though. And in the first half of the show, it's not that big of a deal, because it's at absolute most, like, 20% of it. Like, they won't show up for episodes, and then you get a little bit, and there's maybe one part that I thought dragged on a little bit too long. But for the majority of it, it's the spider show. That's what you're here for. In the second half, it kind of flips the script.
Mhm.
And I just don't kind of get why. Because it was very obviously building up to the eventual meeting between the 2 sides. And there becomes a lot more going on with the human story side of the story. But it's never really good.
Right.
It's just, hey, it's not nothing anymore.
Mhm.
And, like, there's a lot of action on their side as well, but because all the action in the show is CG animated, as soon as it becomes human characters, it's not as
Oh, yeah.
nice looking.
That does.
'Cause, like,
yeah.
The spider fighting against monsters, if it's CG animated, it doesn't really bother you that much, and her animation's really good.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a bunch of like human versus human and it's still CG,
Uh-oh.
it's a little rough.
Uh-oh.
And it really kind of reached a point where episode 21 is literally called "Guess I'm Not in This One,"
Oh, jeez.
and having the spider acknowledge that they weren't in that episode made it quite the slog to get through.
Like, even though it's like 22 minutes, it's like this feels like 45.
I actually like fell asleep and had to restart that one because it was the calm before the storm episode where it's like 10 minutes of characters setting up the war that's about to happen.
This is why
Yeah.
when you said that this is the best TV show you watched, I was literally like, what are you fucking talking about?
You saw the back half of the tweets. You missed the first half of the show where I said like I fucking love this show. Like I'm so conflicted with this one.
This is not the only reason I'm conflicted right now and just like weirded out. Okay?
I loved the first half so much, and then the spider stuff in the back half is still so funny and good because she escapes the starter cave and starts living with people, but they see her as a monster.
Right.
And there's a lot of good comedy in there where some people are like worshiping the spider. And then she also does not give a fuck about killing people. So it's extremely funny because she is just kind of lost her humanity at some point where she just will rack up body counts and she just starts seeing humans as experience points.
Nice.
So like her character remains great. It's just there isn't enough of her, and I just don't know why. It feels like the second arc was kind of rushed through to get to the point where the two sides meet.
I'm about to level up and you look like just enough experience.
There's a part towards the end where she's fighting the Demon Lord in a war with a bunch of humans around her, so she will just fucking wipe out the humans in order to level up and heal. It's genius. She's like, I'm grinding out here.
So fucked up, that rules.
It's so fucked up. That it remains the best part. But then, like, also the story doesn't end, like, at all.
No.
Because it's like, okay, the two sides have met, the end. I'm like...
Light novels.
Again,
Yeah.
The best show he watched. And it sounds like such a fucking wet fart at the end.
It's not...
The entire back half of this show sounds completely unpalatable.
The spider stuff is still very funny. I know, it's like... It is a show that is like a 9 mixed with a 6. It's the Omori of anime.
Oh! There's some sizzling hot-ass takes, man. Woo!
Should I just go to the next one?
Well, what else do you
Polly.
have? What else do you have to say about Spider Show, though?
I'm very curious where it goes next because it does seem to have kind of really started to lose the plot.
Well, you'll probably find out in 2 years when they do a sequel.
I hope they do a sequel. That's the scary thing about watching anime.
That's the scary thing about watching anything based on a light novel is that, well, maybe I'll get some kind of resolution.
Ollie, Brett, I feel like I'm kind of on a track towards becoming a light novel person, maybe.
Maybe.
Like, I can see that. I can
John,
see that
you literally
trajectory.
wrote one.
Because I keep having these series that I'm so interested in, but I know it's like this long thing, and I'm just like,
I read and enjoyed like the first 4 Haruhi light novels. So
I actually read the first one of those too.
yeah, it's really good.
If I feel like if I want to be an isekai guy.
Oh no,
Isekai.
Get off of my podcast right now.
I would really need to actually get into light novels.
John, just read ReZero. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of Konosuba. I have the first one on my shelf.
Nice. I can take. I will allow Konosuba light novels.
Oh, but they did just announce a new project for that one.
Yep. There is something. They are doing something new with animated Konosuba. We don't know if it's a movie or a 3rd season yet. We don't know.
they will not reach the end of Konosuba in the animated form.
I want them to. I think it would be great if they did.
There are 17 volumes.
Holy fuck.
That's a lot.
It's never. They are not going to adapt all of Konosuba. No. I don't think that the world is the way the world is right now. I don't see them like skipping around and adapting around stuff and making an anime ending.
I don't
like
see them. I don't see them. I don't see them pursuing that story's logical conclusion because, well, I don't know. Well, the love story is maybe a little perilous to cover. I'll leave that to your own. Like, I'll just say I know where that story goes, and I know who falls for who, and I know what happens, and I'll just say, oh, I don't know if they can adapt that and maybe license it. I don't know.
Oh, I don't actually know. Interesting.
I think Konosuba is fine as it is because it's a comedy.
Right,
yeah,
like, right.
I'm not invested in the story of
not
that
at all.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, ReZero, I'm very much invested in the story that is not going to get a finished adaptation.
Oh how many volumes of that one are there?
I'm not even sure if it's done.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Yeah, no, the light novels are still going. There are 27 volumes.
Okay, guess what? Never getting finished in anime form. Enjoy that.
I don't even know if they get translated at that point.
Light novels get translated. Light novels get translated at a pretty good clip these days.
Yeah, they've released 16 volumes in English of the light novels.
So yeah, I can see them getting to the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, these come out like every 3 months.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Imagine having to write a fucking novel every 3 months and just have that be your existence. How much do you hate yourself?
Hey, Rhett. Can we indulge me for just a second?
Sure.
Did you like my book? Did you like my game?
Well, you asked 2 questions there.
Uh-oh.
Okay, fill me in. Yeah, I am. Please, you can be completely honest, and I will not mind or be mad.
Well, you first said, "Did you like the book?" And yes, we talked about that one a lot. And then you said, "Did you like the game?" And I cut myself off. It's like you got me to start saying it was good, and then you threw that in there.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I mean,
okay,
I literally. Go ahead.
I didn't hate Facets. Obviously, I don't know what I was going to say there, but it's a very interesting experimental, like, I think I saw somebody call it an anti-RPG, and I think that does kind of fit. I think there's 2 sides of Facets, like the difficulty and the story, and because I played the easier version, they maybe didn't mesh in the way that was originally intended. Except for the fact that on the final boss fight, where it gives you a couple breaks, I did not think to save.
Oh no!
So the 5th one, despite my overwhelming advantage, was still down to the wire.
Oh, yes! That's good! That's good!
So it was like, I'll be fine. Oh no! Well, I've got like 7 mega potions, so I am still fine. But I'm still like barely making it each turn.
I really like that last fight. I was kind of thinking like I didn't have any particular expectations with the game because it's weird and because it's not necessarily. Well, I know you like sad stuff, but I don't know what expectations I necessarily had there. I did think, like, I really want Rhett to read that book. I think he's going to have a good time.
I did end up deciding to read the book after playing the game, and I think that worked in its advantage.
I think that definitely feels way better.
Yeah. Because part of me was wanting to be I'm going to go chronological order. And then the book is, like, a ton of references to the skills of the game. So I was like, this is way funnier doing it this way. Does her barrier have 200 HP or 300 HP?
Okay.
The game was funny, though, because there's the second floor.
Yeah.
Where you have those fucking door mazes.
Oh my god, it's so rough. I can't. I don't know it. Like, I know the 3rd maze, like, back of my hand.
The 3rd maze is not as hard as the door maze. That's what's fucked up.
Yeah, the door maze is really hard.
I got to the door.
Stare at a map. It's so hard. Go ahead, Rhett.
Yeah, like I got to the second floor, saw those door mazes, and just like walked the other way. Like, nope. So I killed like the one facet I was able to find, and then I was like, gonna have to fucking go through. I was like, John is not so mean as to just literally have the exact same looking room like 10 times. That's when I looked at the map. And it really is the exact same room, like
10 times.
And then here's version A, here's B, here's C, here's D. I'm just like, John, how did you expect people to figure this out? I'm sorry.
I didn't. I expected folks to do what I do when I replay it, which is I just wander around for like 10 minutes and I hopefully find all the treasure chests and then leave.
Yeah, I think I missed the first Dreamcatcher, which was fine, but
it's very secretive. Yeah,
oh,
that one's pretty hidden away. It's on the maps.
I mean, I didn't need the map for the first area.
No.
That would have been too much. But yeah, it was the second one that got me, which was surprising. And then I looked at the map and it's just like that same room like 9 times. Like, come on, John.
Well, the grass is different in each room.
Oh my god, really?
Little grass tiles. So if you really want to, you can make a map using the little grass tiles as markers.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better about it. Because just going through it, I thought these are literally exactly the same. Because the screen fades to black and then fades up and it doesn't look like anything has changed.
Yeah, I did put in the grass tiles. I was like, okay, well, here's I'll deign to throw something.
Okay.
I didn't expect anyone to actually map it out, but it felt better knowing that the option was present.
Because then the third one, the actual maze, wasn't that bad.
Oh, I'm glad it wasn't, because a couple of people were like, "Fuck this."
That one felt more manageable because it wasn't just literally same room, fade to black, same room, fade to black, same room, and just being like, I am lost in a nightmare of repeating images. Like, it kind of gives you the thing to chase at the start, and then you find the other thing pretty quickly.
Yeah, literally, I put it together so that if you just kind of follow after the first asset, then it kind of leads you to the second one, and then from there you just have to get to the chest, and then you go backwards, and then you get to the door. Yeah.
The second one was the one boss I had to look at the guide for, because I was like, oh, block button. I've never blocked in a JRPG. What is this?
Guarding? What is this nonsense?
Yakuza 7 teaches you about guarding, and then you never need to do it. They're like, oh, and if a character is looking at you, you can block. And like, none of the bosses actually end up using that mechanic besides the first one.
That sounds like Final Fantasy 6 and 7 both starting with don't attack while this character
It really is.
While this person's doing this, and then they don't do that gimmick ever again.
Yeah, like the first boss will very deliberately like turn and look at a character so that they can block their next turn.
Yeah.
And then they don't do that again. So yeah, I once again forgot about blocking in JRPG and I had to look at the fucking guide for that.
Do you like the guide?
The guide is
very
great.
Funny.
It's great.
Thank you for that. I really appreciated when you said, I have simple gear brain. I liked the fights with the book. That made me really happy.
I mean, there's a lot of fights in the book.
There are a lot of fights in the book. The back half of that book is a lot of fights.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And you got your magic systems in there.
Magic systems.
It very much felt like this is somebody who likes Fate.
Oh
Like,
yeah. That was my
magic systems.
That was my takeaway.
I'd been wanting to do something that was like Fatey for a long time, and I'd wanted to do something that was like a follow-up to Facets, and then just kind of puzzle pieces coming together. It was like, felt really good.
Now you need to do a third thing though, so that
The
you can
cooking
live up,
game.
so that you can not the cooking game.
Oh, okay.
You need to do a third thing so that you can live up to that one tweet that's like, the more in-depth your magic system is, the funnier it is when a character with a gun shows up.
Yeah.
Because it would be extremely funny if somebody in Facet's world just showed up with a gun and it was just like, fuck your fireballs, boom. Oh, you have a barrier? Guess what? This does 2,000 damage.
Sorry, everybody's got a weakness to gun. Weird, huh?
That's what the Dreamcatchers actually are. They're just gun. Thank you so much for reading, Red. I really appreciate it.
I mean,
You're-
I was going to feel like human garbage if I didn't, because I literally had 2 weeks and, 20 movies under my belt.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm going to get to this. I'm telling myself, no matter what. And then I played
really-
Fast and Furious. Yeah,
I really appreciate it because you were the second person to get to the book.
that's
Total.
a little shame, because I
After
felt like
release, and I was like,
I felt
"Oh."
like I delayed way too much. And then when you said that, I was just like,
Oh, it was very much a moment of like, oh yeah, people don't necessarily want to maybe read a book.
mm,
Well, if you're interested at all, there's the tweet in the thingy, and I did at your prompting. You literally like
Yeah.
downloaded the PDF and like inverted it and then played music and it made like VN mode, which is very funny.
I mean, the PDF was like straight up hurting my eyes, which was unfortunate, because
Yeah.
it was like, harsh black on white text, or,
Mm-hmm.
black text on gigantic white background. And I tried putting it on my phone, it was too wide, and I was like, oh, now the text is tiny.
Yep. So I just put it online. I just made a link to the Google Doc so that then you can use the app, and that one has
Yeah.
an inversion mode, and it
Yeah,
makes it readable on phones, and it's nice.
yeah, cool.
Cool. Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate it, and
Okay.
thank you both for reading. I really appreciate it. It made me really happy.
Yeah.
Lots of love, y'all. All right.
Okay, so we're still not... So, I'm sorry. This really
No,
did end up being
I-
the red episode. No, I mean, not for that part,
Look,
but just all the anime.
we signed up for this. We knew coming in this was going to be the Rhett episode. Even like when we didn't know if we were pushing a week, we were already like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, in 2 weeks we're doing the Rhett episode. That's just what we're gonna have to do.
I just feel like most of these anime I didn't feel like were really worth talking about. 'Cause I
Well,
don't
we
have
didn't do much.
particularly-
The problem is we didn't do much else worth talking about either.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? Say, yeah, I made it to chapter 9 and Mary Skelter 2.
Okay. Okay, so I think Polly was a little salty that I declared Spider my favorite
Yeah,
anime.
I'm actually still
Just-
fucking mad.
Maybe just by a hair. It was like the first 3 I'm going to talk about, I'll have it as an 8 on my anime list. Like, let's not split hairs too much here, people. The next show I watched was Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
Yes!
That's why she's salty.
That's why I'm fucking mad! You're sitting here talking about this show that you make sound like it's complete dog shit in the back half! And you're like, it's the best one I watched in a series where I actually watched Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, one of the best anime of the fucking early 2000s!
Is it an isekai, Polly?
No, it is not.
It's not an isekai. Interesting.
Oh my god.
You're watching us get swallowed by these, like, evil phenomena between this and the VTubers. Just your friends just getting sucked backward into the void.
God, what has happened?
Wow.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
That's really fucking depressing.
We're fine. You're fine. We're fine. You know us. You know we're cold.
This is why I feel like I've tried to chill out about the whole watch Symphogear thing, because it's very scary when friend watches like thing you consider like a masterpiece. And then they're
And then he says, "No, show about dumb spiders, way better."
the dumb spider is so funny.
Yeah,
looks so
yeah,
fun.
real great. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, I mean, sure, like the show that completely shits the bed in the second half is way better. I get it. No, I get it.
Right, fill us in on Ghost in the Shell Complex. What's
think
your
I
arc
could-
of it?
God, my arc is that I watched the first 2 episodes like in July, and I loved episode 2. It was my probably my favorite one, and then I didn't watch anymore for like a month, and I don't even know why. I was just like, yeah,
I didn't say anything.
you're just stewing over
I'm
there.
just like, no, go ahead.
I just think Holly and I have very similar tastes. We don't have the exact same taste.
No,
Like,
we don't. Very clearly.
yeah, very clearly. I am a simple. I'm trying to say simple, and I keep saying simpo.
No. Sorry.
I am a simple Symphogear brain. Ghost in the Shell is a much drier show. It's not actually very anime. Does that make sense?
I think it's like the very pinnacle of anime. I think you literally, I think from the 90s, you literally define anime as Ghost in the Shell to a degree.
I think there are shows that become like sacred horses like this in Cowboy Bebop that aren't actually very anime.
I mean, it's not anime in the sense of 2021 anime.
Yeah. See,
90s anime will always be anime to Polly.
I don't even think that Standalone Complex is 90s anime though.
I know. I was thinking of the original movie.
I mean, that movie's 90s as hell, but I feel that Standalone Complex ages really fucking well.
It did. I was shocked when I saw quite how old this show was.
Yeah.
Just even on a visual level, it's like, this is 2001? What the fuck? Like, it looks really good. Like, the fact that the CG in this on the Takeyomas, looks completely modern is a little embarrassing.
Yeah,
for other shows.
Really is. The Tachikomas look fantastic.
They have not aged a day, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
With how, the Spider show having kind of rough CG because it tries to do more with it.
Mm-hmm.
Where these characters, they know what they're capable of. They don't overextend it.
Yeah, they roll around. Like, and they're the same kind of spider design, really.
Yeah. So I'm a spider robot, so what?
Yeah, so there you go. There's your sequel.
And one of them is voiced by Yuki Oi, which is wild. Because she didn't get into voice act. Because she was 8 at the time when the show came out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I liked the show a lot, but like, a lot of the standalone episodes don't have a lot of bombast to them, where they're much more quiet, introspective shows, and then you go on My Anime List forums to figure out what the fuck the twist at the end meant.
What?
Oh boy.
No, I'm just trying to think of like what episode that might be, because I didn't really find...
I feel like it's a lot of them.
I didn't find Standalone Complex all that hard to follow, even in its standalone moments where it was trying to be a little more heady. There are one or two, I feel, that kind of involve like the internet and the way the internet works in that world that could be a little fucky.
Yeah.
And hard to understand. But I feel that ultimately a lot, like, the standalone episodes, as you get more complex episodes, all of that stuff starts making way more sense when it's all, because like the standalone and the complex episodes, they're initially presented as this really super separate compartmentalized thing, but the more the main storyline goes on, you realize how everything really is more connected than it seems. And like, I think that the later developments in that series give those episodes the context you need, and maybe you needed to kind of just trust that the series would get you there more.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the show is like super complex or confusing. Like, I've seen Ghost in the Shell 2.0, the Ghost in the Shell 2, I think. Innocence. That one is fucking weird. It's confusing.
That movie's kind of just, I won't even defend that movie, so.
Okay.
I think it's very good looking. It is very pretty, but
I think a long time.
But I think as far as the story, I think Innocence, the story, is so far up its own ass, it's ridiculous.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, compared to the shows I watch primarily now, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex is significantly more intellectual.
I think it's funny that we can call something that, like, and I'm not dogging you here. I think it's funny that we can look at something like Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex and say it's dry, and that it's because I feel that it is a show that does have a lot of bombast. It's got fucking production IG behind it. Like, there's bombast all over this series. I think that it's funny that we can call that tame in any decade of anime, because I feel that Ghost in the Shell, being that it's rooted in cyberpunk and the way that it uses all that shit, it's very rooted in the whole fucking, like, it is the very fabric of anime.
I don't think my point is getting across where it's like, Ghost in the Shell is realistic. Does that maybe make more sense?
I think it's more grounded in reality. It's more, you can relate a lot of things in this series to the real world even now.
Yeah.
Even when this show was produced in 2002, 2003, everything's pretty poignant. Yes, it's more realistic. It's more grounded.
Yeah. So there's that, and Symphogear is water. And this is right.
I watched both Ghost in the Shell and Standalone Complex the first season in high school, Rhett, and it felt like they kind of went over my head. Like I wasn't quite. I didn't feel like I was ready for them at that time, and I haven't revisited them since. I've been kind of wanting to take another gander at them and see how it lands for me now.
They wrote a video game about mind control rice.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex video game is just a story about mind control rice.
Fantastic.
Great. That's not bombastic enough, though.
Oh my god.
Rhett, it's all in good fun. I promise you.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
I'm just saying, I don't think the standalone episodes were confusing, but it felt like they often had some sort of twist at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, episode 3 had the whole, like... I don't know if you remember these episodes specifically, probably not. Like, episode 3 is the one where, like, a guy runs away with his android.
Yeah.
And they're like... You find out they're actually quoting a movie at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's just, like... You're not entirely sure what to make of all that.
Like, I think that a lot of it does come down to the fact that there are, like, it's mood pieces a lot of the time. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's not always going to be, like, oh, the episode ended with a big fight and Major punched somebody. You know? Like, that's not going to be the thing. Like, so a lot of the time, somebody's just going to come to a realization that, like, is going to unlock something for them, but it's not, like... presented with bombast and explosions and people.
I feel like we're so close to being on the same page.
Right.
We're basically in agreement now.
No, I get you. You.
Okay.
I just think that saying the Spider Show is better than Standalone Complex.
I'm so mad.
I'm gonna put my fist through a fucking monitor over it.
A little it's really precious to me that we have these little disconnects. Because the way that because we're all so similar in so many ways, and then
it's the little fucking things that get you.
It's like when you see those things of like a tiled bathroom floor, and one of the squares is slightly off.
Oh god!
And it's just like trying to push it back into place. Just push it back into place. And I feel like that's where a lot of the joy in these combos comes from.
It's totally fine that the Spider Show is better than one of the best anime ever made. Sure, it's fine.
Red, I would much rather watch the Spider Show than rewatch anything Ghost in the Shell.
I think that's almost.
I'm out. We're done. All right, y'all can do the rest of this episode yourself. I'm gonna go eat Pringles. I'm fucking done. Hear this? This is a can of Pringles. You hear that? I don't have my earbuds on, so I can't hear you respond.
There's a
Pringles.
part in the Spider
I'm gonna sit
Show
here and eat them now. Continue.
I think she really can't hear me.
I will end the episode when I see that when I see that the gauge on OBS has stopped moving for desktop audio. You may continue the rest of this episode of this cursed fucking show.
How come I'm the one that is responsible for this? You said all this, and then I said my thing, and that dipped it over the edge. Now I'm the bad guy.
There's a part in Spider Show where she kills a bunch of people, and then it is revealed a few episodes later that she did eat them afterwards.
Yes,
because she starts talking about wanting to eat hot guys again, and like literally eat them.
There's so much. I forwarded y'all that piece just kind of digging into the history of the isekai stuff.
Oh yeah,
where it's like, oh wow, a bunch of this stuff is from the same like online ecosystem of webfics, and the reason that a lot of it has the exact same setting is because a lot of this started off with them writing fanfics in the same setting and with shared characters in a shared universe. And then when they banned fanfic, they basically kept doing that. They just filed out the serial numbers and continued doing what they were doing.
Was it like one original shared universe?
I don't know. I need to go back.
Because
and
I'm
repeat,
like,
but-
it's weird to say they banned fanfic, but it's like they're all technically original stories. They're just extremely derivative.
I think a lot of them like literally pulled in like characters and whatnot.
Let-
But then they just kept. Go ahead.
Because I feel like the shared point was probably Dragon Quest. Like, that feels what they're all kind of riffing on because of the whole Demon Lord hero stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then...
Well, I mean, the one I linked to that piece was explicitly Rance inspired.
And then there's Rance.
And then we watched several of these shows like Konosuba and another one that are explicitly Rance inspired.
Oh, yeah.
So, like... And Rance also pulls from Dragon Quest. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. It's the way these that made the kind of derivativeness of a lot of these adaptations a lot more kind of endearing to me, because like it's sort of like seeing a bunch of fanfics get inexplicably adapted into these big shows.
I mean, there's a lot of these, and I don't watch the vast majority of them. So it's like, it's okay to have one once in a while. And like, the Slime Show has a second season, and now it has a second season part 2. And I'm just not watching that one anymore because I didn't like it.
There you go. And then there's ones where it lands and it feels good and it's nice. Yeah. And I love that.
Like,
and this one just seems cute.
It's cute in a gross way.
Yep.
There's so much.
What are you gonna say?
Has Polly truly left us? 2 minutes ago, she goes, "It's all in good fun," when she's ribbing me, and then you say something. She fucking throws the headphones off.
Aww.
I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing and eating Pringles, dude. I really wanted an excuse to go get those Pringles over there because they were on top of the stand, and I really wanted a reason to go get them.
I think it's really funny that Polly threw off the headphones in the bit, and then we immediately started talking about the Spider Show instead of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, like I get it. I know what my presence here is. Don't worry.
Sliding us back towards the light. Yeah,
my favorite episodes in Ghost in the Shell were episode 2, which made me cry a bunch, and then the episode where like a mech suit shows up and the Major fights it, and it's extremely cool bombast action.
Cool. Well, I'll see. I don't know if there's any spiders in second gig. I'm just warning you ahead of time.
My defining Ghost in the Shell standalone complex memory is watching the show and then my dad walking in and asking why she doesn't have pants.
That is a vow. I don't like the Major's design in the first season.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't like it. But I still think the story's good.
I can look back. It's easy to look past that.
I think the designs in season 2 are way better.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. Someday, it's on the list. I've got a bunch of stuff I kind of chewed through in high school and whatnot that I don't really remember, but I remember liking.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to kind of revisit a lot of that at some point.
That's like the thing I kept telling myself until I actually finally just watched anime for 2 weeks of like, it's on the list. I'm going to revisit it at some point.
Yep. I mean, that's my itch backlog was like every 6 months. Every 6 months, I'm just like, let's chew through a bunch of these. And then you do it. And it takes a week. And then it's like, okay, I did a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it's always a relief. All right.
I will say for Molly, I think the ending of the season was strange.
How so?
It's like they knew the culprit, kind of, and the answer was just to wait a month for the election to pass.
Hey man, like, it's grounded. It's grounded in reality. Like given Section 9's predicament in a real world scenario, that's basically what they'd have to do.
Yeah, it was a little way too grounded in a way that was uncomfortable. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I definitely expected a different final last episode.
If you think season 1 is uncomfortable,
oh
boy, its issues are even more relevant to modern day. It's ridiculous.
Like, again, I am a simple brain.
You just say you're a simple brain.
Yeah. Because I literally can't say simple sympho.
No, you can't.
I can't. I literally stumble every time.
Simple.
I was just.
Fuck, I got 2 in. That's all, as much as I can do.
His favorite emo band is Sympho Plan.
Simple Plan. I was just a little surprised when the final episode had like no action.
Well, I mean, they give you the bombast like 2 episodes prior to that with like, the whole Section 9 going fucking bonkers.
That definitely was good. I just didn't expect, like, it's kind of a modern anime thing where the last episode has to be the most bombastic. And this definitely didn't do that. And it was definitely surprising. Like, the story had kind of already wrapped up by that point. Like, it felt more like a movie than a series of... I guess, because these episodes actually air 2 at a time, maybe it actually should think of them as pairs, basically.
Yeah, like, this is a show that I watched it, like, back to back. I literally watched it when it finished. I shotgunned the whole thing, and then literally started watching it again.
It was your Symphogear XV.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Brett, if it makes you feel any better, I would watch Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex before I ever watched another season of Symphogear again.
That's fair.
Okay. Just making sure I'm putting that out there.
You're so mad.
No, I'm not.
Polly, after I finished this, Polly immediately was like, let's watch Second Gig together. And I was like, no fucking way, that's too much pressure. Polly would be the friend standing over your shoulder going, do you like it? Do you like it? Do you like it?
Why do you assume that I would be that way?
Because you're doing it right now.
I'm doing it now because it's a bit. We're doing a podcast. It has to be entertaining.
Okay.
Do you think I'm literally the type of person to be mad enough to throw my headphones around and be, like, legitimately serious about it?
I can't tell where the bit ends sometimes. I watched another show. I have to move on. I watched what has aired so far of Girlfriend.
There we are.
Almost as good as Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
Okay, now I'm gonna throw the headphones off. No, I'm kidding.
Tell us about Girlfriend, Rhett.
It's a very simple premise.
Okay, tell me exactly what the premise is. I don't fully grok it.
Okay, there's a guy who's dating his childhood friend.
Okay.
He has liked her like his entire life, and he kept asking her out. They're in high school, and she finally said yes. So they are dating. And then, first episode, like 2 minutes in, a new girl appears, says she's had a crush on the guy for a long time, and she wants to date him. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have a girlfriend, but... And then he looks at her, and he's like, she's really cute. And she's got very big boobs. I would be awful if I rejected this girl, who is clearly so in love with me.
Right, you actually literally can't turn down somebody with gigantic tits. It's literally the law.
She's very cute. We've
established that big boobs is a legitimate reason to instantly fall in love.
Yeah, it literally is. It's totally fine.
So he can't reject her, but he can't cheat on his girlfriend. So he takes the girl, and he brings her to the girlfriend, and he says, I want to date both of you. And the girlfriend at first is like, what the fuck, you piece of shit, and like punches him. And then she is also like, but she's really cute. And she's got really big boobs. So I forget exactly how it goes, but by the end of the first episode, they're all living together.
That's how relationships work. That's fine.
That's how it works, because his parents, are in foreign country.
Right.
He lives by himself.
He needs all the company he can get. He's a growing boy. You can't leave them alone for long. They gotta have that motherly instinct around.
Yeah. So the new girlfriend moves in with him, and then the childhood girlfriend, who is his neighbor, also moves in. So it's just 2 girls and a guy living alone.
This is just. I feel like this is a lot of like queer relationships.
Yeah, I feel like this is just John.
This is just.
No, I definitely recommended. I definitely showed this show to John. And was like, hey, it's you.
Yep.
Like, the show feels so close to just going all the way and having the girls be into each other, like, definitively.
Yeah, feel like that's kind of a thing that they should have just went ahead and leaned into.
There's still time.
Mm.
It's a very funny comedy. It has a hilariously low score on my anime list because people are so mad that this show is, like, mocking harem comedies by being like the most upfront about how trashy it is.
Right.
Because the show knows how fucking stupid it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They did a whole episode about NTR
Yep.
cuckolding.
Yep.
And so far, most of the drama has been that a third girl appeared and also wants to get in on the action, and he is like adamantly, absolutely, no way.
Can't do another. I can't. I just can't.
I may be a 2-timer, but I'm no 3-timer.
Oh, that's so good.
So he rejects her definitively, and she keeps trying, and then he has started to crack, and her boobs are even bigger, by the way. She's just massively stacked. But it's so stupid.
Dream.
She literally gets a tent and just lives in their yard.
That's really good.
She's very determined. She's got like a water bucket to take a shower. It's fucking gross. And then they like call the cops to have her stuff hauled away. It's a bad show, but it's very funny, which makes it a good show.
Like, I was about to say, this sounds like so bad it's good territory.
Oh, that's where I think it is, because it has like 6.5 review score, but I think it's very funny, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
There you go.
6.5 review score. First reviews are a 10, and
I know.
a 2, a 7.
There's enough of those 2s in the forums, though, that are like, this is trash. Like, yeah, we know it's trash. It's fine, dude.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
If you want to watch something truly elegant, if you want to watch something truly pure, go watch something boring like Chobits.
oh, God.
Oh man, I watched all of Chobits.
It's so bad! Why do people like Chobits? Why do people like Oh My Goddess? They're boring!
I watched one more show.
Go for it, Rhett. Let's
This is
do
the
this.
final one. I will try
All
to
right.
finish by 9 o'clock. I'm looking at the clock now going, Jesus Christ. Okay. Netflix. I saw this show on Netflix. Megalobox. It's got a boxer and he's got robot arms. I say, that looks good.
Mm-hmm.
So the show is like a 50th anniversary project for Ashita no Joe, which is a boxing manga from the 60s.
Yeah.
So Megalobox is like the modern version where all these boxers, they have gears that give them like extremely strong punches because they're, mechanically enhanced.
Yeah.
And I think, hey, what am I a brain of?
You're a Sympho brain.
I'm a Sympho brain. These guys literally have things they're calling gears on their arms to make them punch stronger. Guess what I'm talking
Hey, Rhett. You have a simp psychology.
We'll workshop that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked it. All right, continue.
So guess why I'm talking about this one last?
Why? Because it's your least favorite?
Because of the 4 shows, it's by far my least favorite. Because they fucking lie to you with that premise.
Oh no.
Yeah?
Because the whole thing ends up being that Joe, the main character, decides to fight without gear.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's just a boxing show at that point.
Oh, that's not how you do that. No,
So
you lean into the gear stuff because that's fun.
They never leaned into the gear stuff at all. Like the very first fight where he fights without gear, it's like they kind of play into it a bit where it's like if he takes a single punch, he's fucked because he's being hit with so much force. Mm-hmm. And then after that, they just kind of stop acting like it matters whatsoever.
Oh my god.
Weird.
And then, like, the next fight, it's like, oh, this guy's really fast, so he's not emphasizing strength. And then they just kind of stop giving reasons. And like almost every fight in the show plays out the exact same way, where Joe gets his ass kicked for like 5 rounds, and then wins in a single punch,
Oh god.
It's like some of the most boring fighting I've ever seen.
Woof.
And there's a second season. And I just don't know if I'm gonna.
If you didn't like the first, I don't know why
Yeah.
you'd bother with the second. It's not collect them all. You don't have to. You can bail.
Yeah. It's sad too because they do a thing where, like they either downscaled the show or like drew it at a low resolution and then upscaled it.
Right.
But the show looks very blurry. Like it looks like anime from the 80s.
Yeah,
remember.
they're very specifically trying to create that look with modern technology, and you can probably see like where the cracks are in trying to do that.
Like I don't think it looks awful. It definitely looks like as I remember shows used to look.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw somebody post a screenshot from the original that's like super obviously sharpened and digitally enhanced, and it's like it's not what that show looked like in the 70s.
No, not at all.
Like this is trying to extra compensate and kind of look like a CRT would have, in a way.
And that always looks fucking bad.
It looks fine. I don't know. I just think like what the show could have been versus what it actually is. Like if they had just made a super slick, well animated robot punching show, I would have enjoyed that far more. But that's clearly not what they were setting out to make. So I was just kind of bored for a lot of it. So I had a joke here.
You did.
Okay.
I'm going to tell the joke anyways, even though it kind of got wrecked. I played a game.
Okay.
I played a game. It came out in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got an update pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a game known for being very difficult. So this is the part in the joke where John would think I'm going to talk about facets, and I was going to say Saw.
Oh, you see, you should have done that, but we did. Yeah, we talked about facets already. John, way to ruin the episode again. John,
even though y'all went for my wonderful BoJack joke, I ruined this joke. I'm sorry.
You just sandbagged this so hard, Fire.
But I definitely don't have time to talk about Celeste, so it's fine.
Yeah, right. I guess. I mean, I don't
That's
know.
a podcast.
That's.
I mean, wait,
thing.
we didn't talk about Thrice Upon a Time.
It's bad.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. Let's tear this Band-Aid off.
Do it.
All three of us had the. We had the honor, I suppose, of having seen the finale of the rebuild of Evangelion series, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, Thrice Upon a Time. And we're not going to do a spoiler cast here, because that is a 2.5-hour movie of a lot of Evangelion happening.
Yeah.
My thoughts have not completely landed for this movie yet. I have initial knee-jerk reactions that I'll probably be going with here for this little small bit here at the end. I don't know if we're going to or not, but we may accidentally or purposefully spoil some things about this movie and having to talk about it for a little bit. So if you want to go into that movie completely blind, this is your point of the podcast to go ahead, hit that ripcord, bail out now, and we won't have any hard feelings. But just know that like the last 10, 15 minutes or however long it takes, we will be talking about the newest and the finale of the Evangelion movie series. So you don't want to hear any of that. Now's your time to say bye-bye to us. And, we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. All that fun stuff. So, I guess the only way you can that I can think of to talk about this movie is to just like, how did this fucking movie hit you?
Bad. I'm sorry.
Okay. But I think that is an entirely fair assessment. Having sat through.
So,
go ahead. Like what? Like let's talk about it. What? Did not land?
The entire back half, basically.
Okay.
Like.
I really like the village section.
That is the part of the movie I think that is sort of the crown jewel, and I think that that part of the movie can only exist, and it only exists because Anno spent time at Ghibli for 2 years.
Oh wow!
While he was away from this project, and I think that part and the bombast at the end of this movie are all a product of him having spent that 2 years at Ghibli.
Interesting.
But yes, the village part where they come across, like they're taken to a place where a lot of people have survived near third impact, which was initiated at the end of 3.33. Humanity is still trying to eke out an existence, and we get to spend like 30 or 40 minutes with, Shinji kind of recovering from almost ending the world for like a second time. And you get to see all of these characters that have all grown up in the last 14 to 15 years in all of this tragedy, and the way that their lives have sort of been reshaped, like Toji and Alba and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, these people all grew up. Our beautiful little babies all grew up, except our Evangelion children who can't grow up because we need to keep those designs or people won't give us money. It's
part of the meta narrative, Polly. They can't grow up.
They can't grow up because of the Evangelions. That's
the
like
curse of Eva.
Yeah, like, you know what? Like I am with John and that we were robbed of hot 28-year-old Asuka. That's what I'm mad about. But yeah, like what's some other thoughts, Rhett? Since you were the first to say it was bad.
Sorry, I had watched a shitload of anime in the prior week or two, so like I was kind of exhausted by movies, so maybe I wasn't in the best headspace to watch it.
Right.
But I didn't like 3 at all, so like I just think what 3 did had kind of ruined that story for me, where I had lost all sense of stakes, basically, and then the back half of this was just noise.
See, the thing that kept getting me, and this is the thing that, like, I don't know whether they're referencing shit that is in other materials that I didn't see, or shit that was in the manga, but suddenly, like, oh, here are these 3 other battleships that are, like, okay, we need to be afraid of them. Here are 1,800 fucking spears that I've never heard of, that somehow, like, we know about the spears that were in 2.22 and 3.33, like, okay, it's just like a few spears I can keep, but suddenly, like, literally everyone's got a fucking spear now. Like, that's where I started kind of losing the plot a little bit, is that, like, motherfucker, like, where did all this come from? Like,
why did Kororu put on the choker? I don't understand.
What was the point? What was the point in him having to die, other than, like,
Traumatized Shinji?
Yeah, like, I think that, like, literally everything here is just like, oh, we need to mind fuck Shinji some more. Let's watch him get somebody's head blown off.
I mean, when that happened in this movie, that's kind of when I was like, oh, okay.
I know what you're trying to do now.
I kind of don't care anymore, though.
There's kind of a moment that's similar to the Kaworu thing where a certain similar thing happens, but his reaction is much different, and we're supposed to see that as, like, okay, it's the evolution of his character and, like, moving forward, I suppose.
This time he watches somebody's head explode, and then he turns into a mecha protagonist instead of being traumatized.
Yes.
I guess.
That's just how it happens this time. Okay, cool.
Well, for me, that's the one I was like, oh, now I'm the one traumatized. Like, I kind of don't movie anymore because you just killed the best character so far.
You think that's the best character, really?
There was an arc there. There was
an arc, and they were trying. And
they were. I felt like they were trying with that.
With that
it was
arc,
the point where I felt most grounded in like like a real narrative.
I think that was that's definitely the turning point,
right?
Where, oh boy, like since when was everything made out of Evas?
Like that shit right there. That and like the 100 spears and the fucking 3 different battleships now that are everywhere.
1 million Evas.
Like, what? These things are supposed to be like these fucking once in a lifetime big ass kind of weapons, and now suddenly there's just billions
of them. I was like, I must have missed something.
Like, I understand.
And then you guys had just.
Like, we watched 3.33, and no, I think we came away just as confused about some of this stuff, because I don't feel that these movies are very good at making a lot of things clear with how this world works. Whereas, End of Evangelion, we know why there's a ton of Evas, because they tell us very specifically that they were mass-producing fake Evas.
Yeah, and how that is so significant. Like, oh shit, they made 9 new
Yes!
Evas.
Yeah.
And this is really earth-shattering, and now they're hurting Asuka, and it's awful, and this is the worst
Yeah,
thing
like,
that's ever
that
happened.
is a big, poignant moment, whereas, like, oh, there's just a billion of them.
Literally a billion, though.
Literally a billion Evas. Just hanging out. We keep them at bay with I don't know, lightning rods, I guess. It's weird.
Oh, right. I forgot. There's multiple parts where there's billions of Evas. There's
Yeah.
the whole outside. There's the whole outside the city, and then there's the swarms of CG ones.
Yep.
Just forming bigger Gurren Lagann Evas.
Yep.
I have 2 axes. We're talking about the logic axis, which like
Yeah.
I was already like lost in
Yeah.
3.0, where I was just like this, because 3.0 doesn't have the really long grounding Ghibli section like this one does. So I was just completely
3.0 is just
3.0.
3.0 is just a pit of misery that it drags you through, and it's the most Eva of any of these Eva movies. And I appreciate it for that. I understand, and I like what that movie was doing. I may not have 100% logically got everything, but I understand how that is a setup for what they were trying to do with, I'm just going to call it 4.
Yeah.
I understand
Thank you.
how that's what they were trying to do with 4. I just think that even at 2.5 hours, they still didn't have enough time to make the logic side of this damn movie really, like I feel like I would have to watch this, 3 or 4 times to understand what's going on logically, and then go read a bunch of wikis.
Yeah, I think reading the wiki would be the number one thing. I feel like, okay, there's one thing I've been sitting on where it's like, hey, if you've ever said Symphogear Season 1 make stuff up as they go along, I don't want to hear you say that you like this movie.
You know what my funny joke that I had in my head was, if you like this movie, then don't complain. Then you're not allowed to complain that the 9 Lives Blade Work scene doesn't make sense.
There's a part
Makes
in this.
perfect sense.
There's so many parts in this where I feel like they are just absolutely pulling up stuff that was never hinted or referenced to that at all.
That was my biggest issue with this movie, is that I don't know where half of this shit is coming from.
Yeah. Where there's one part where I feel like, I forget exactly, where it's like, what? Did they just open the gate of, and then it's like a 20-lettered religious word, and
Yeah.
then they never rented it again or ever again.
Yeah.
And then Asuka just turns into a thing and then melts.
Oh, because Asuka was something completely different in the Rebuild movies. They just kind of they are just very bad at communicating it.
She's a clone now, I think. I heard
Shikinami,
something
like
that.
her last name is Shikinami now, which you're supposed to tie to Ayanami.
Yeah.
Basically,
I guess
almost everybody with Nami at the end of their name is part of that whole deal, except Mary Sue.
So the Rey with long hair was the Rey that he saved in 2.0,
Oh my god.
I think.
I
So
think
here's the thing.
that was the original.
Okay. So here's the thing. I feel like you can complain about this movie on 2 axes, and
Yeah.
one of them is the logic stuff, which
Yeah.
was repeatedly unmooring and offensive to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I'm very open to just appreciating things on an emotional level.
And it looks great. This is a fantastic looking movie.
It's very pretty. I don't think it's as pretty as End of Eva.
No,
Like,
it's not.
the
It's not.
fight- The fight.
Okay.
Just because the 2D animation is so pretty.
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
one.
Like, the CG is very obvious in this movie.
Uh-huh.
It's
Especially for the Evas, which is just kind of tragic.
There's
to me.
some really good mocap
Yeah.
shit they did with character movement, though.
Yeah.
That moment where Asuka force feeds Shinji is really fucking...
Oh, that one was so good.
That is
was
visceral
so
in a
choice.
way that, I don't know that, they could have done with traditional animation. So I'm pretty sure they either rotoscoped or they mocapped that. But that was, a really great sequence there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
my Eva.
Yeah.
that's
so the,
my.
So the other axis here is the emotional arc that the movie wants to take you on.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's room to not be pleased with that also. Because I feel like there's something twisted to me, like, about how End of Ava is this just open infected wound of a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. There are ways to come away from that movie feeling like there's a way forward, like there is hope.
Yeah, despite the fact that movie is a big old downer. I feel that everything at the end of that movie is entirely uplifting, and like it's looking forward in a way that the rest of the series wasn't. Like that movie felt like it found the way through.
Yeah, it's not dragging your hand to feeling warm and nice.
No.
But it's not. It doesn't feel at all incomplete. It doesn't feel It doesn't even feel nihilistic. End
of Evangelion is the perfect end to what that series and what that franchise and what that story was doing. I can't find much fault with that movie or that conclusion.
It's almost like it should have ended in 1997.
Yep.
Because the way this movie resolves is that it is just like absolutely walking you through step by step into feeling good about all of the stuff that is bad. And now instead of it ending like in a complex way, Shinji and his dad have a heart-to-heart, and they talk through all of his dad's trauma, and they work it out, and then everything's okay.
And, like, am I supposed to really... I almost feel like they want me to feel some semblance of pity or sorrow or empathize with Gendo Akari. And you can't. Boy. You can't! If you can empathize with Gendo Akari, you're a psychopath.
I will say...
The way that they neatly close every fucking arc, it's literally a door closing and a character leaving.
I couldn't believe just how on the nose that was.
I was fuming.
Oh.
All right, we're gonna kill every Ava. Do you get it? You have to say goodbye. You've been obsessed with this series for so long. You just need to let go. I haven't been obsessed for 20 years. I watched End of Ava, and I was like, that was really good. I'm going to go on with my life. And for me, this is just like, it's not, the movie doesn't even feel for me. It feels like it's a meta story for somebody else.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a movie that I don't 100% feel you can even begin to kind of feel anything with, unless you know Anno's own history and how he's woven it into this series over time. Mm-hmm. And I feel that this movie is more for him than anyone else.
Yeah.
I feel like this is an ending that he could have only given Evangelion at this stage in his life because he has worked through his own shit. Mm-hmm. That is the only real thing I get from this movie, but to me it is of no catharsis. It is of very little entertainment value. It's just a lot of pretty pictures on the screen. One really good segment in the middle with the village. And just a complete... I'm not going to say it's a bastardization of Evangelion or anything. I'm just, because Rebuild is so far removed from that original series in every single way that I can't even see them as related. They just don't feel a part of the same thing to me. Rebuild is just kind of look, y'all did this for money, didn't you? This is really all it is, right? I know it took 8 years to make this movie in particular happen because you had to rewrite it 5 times. But, in the end, you rewrote this 5 times, and I can't help but think that it probably suffered even more for it.
Yeah, because it feels like there definitely was no overall arc.
No, I don't feel... what am I getting from this movie thematically? I cannot, for the life of me, find, a theme, something that I was supposed to grasp, something to hold on to. Whereas I can look at End of Evangelion, and I can look at episodes 25 and 26 of that original series, and I can probably sit here for hours and tell you what those things made me feel.
It just feels like completely lost in the meta bullshit.
Yes, it's so far, like, it feels so attracted to the idea that Evangelion is complex, that it's complex for the sake of complex, and there's no emotional core here at all.
The emotional core is you have to let go of the TV show Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh my.
They literally say they're going to create a Neon Genesis.
That, I mean, if I had already been lost, that's the part where I just like threw my hands off.
This truly was a Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13.
like that, and Fuyutsuki literally calling Mari a fucking Mary Sue. Oh, literally, the two moments of the film were just like, oh my god.
And then she runs off with Shinji at the end.
Oh my god! Like, and it's
20 years of shipping wars to end like that.
And I don't
and it's
even
like a meta joke.
Yeah, that's really what it felt like. It felt
not
like
a romance.
Like I never considered romance a thing in Evangelion because these kids are too fucked up.
And they're kids. It doesn't matter.
And they're kids. It doesn't fucking matter.
Which is why End of Eva does not end with, and then they smooch.
Exactly. Like, it's just not a component of this series that I ever felt was worth addressing. So the fact that you end your movie, you end the big finale that people waited 8 years for with a dumbass meta shipping wars joke, basically.
I think the shipping stuff in EOE is definitely a large part of it, where Shinji's like racking with his feelings for Asuka, Misato, Kaworu.
Right.
Yeah, but
it's definitely there.
But that's weird. That is weird teenagery wrangling.
Yeah.
Like he's confused because he's a goddamn kid.
Yeah. I'm just saying it definitely is an element to the series, but Mari never factored into that.
Yeah, like
Mari never factored into anything.
Yeah, she literally exists. She is a character that was made to literally exist outside of what Evangelion is. And it's like, even the producer said, like, yeah, she's more of an FLCL character. It's like, well, like, so I don't understand. Like, I've seen people go to bat for that character so much. Like, I literally saw...
Really?
I literally saw a fucking take on my Twitter feed the other day that said, so I just got finished watching the Evangelion movie, and I feel like any scene that Mari isn't in, everybody should be standing around and asking, where's Mari? It's like, are you fucking stupid?
I mean, that's either very stupid or a very good joke about the nature of
I
Mari's character,
joke,
considering
it wasn't a joke because this person went on to say that it was a 10 out of 10 film. So you know what I'm willing to say, and I am probably wrong, and I would be wrong in saying so, but I'm willing to say, hey, maybe this one just went over my head and I'm too stupid. I'll take it. I'll hold that L if I have to, but I just think it's a bad movie.
It doesn't really feel like a movie because
it doesn't. It feels so.
Except for that village scene. That's where it feels like a movie.
Yeah,
this movie feels it feels like it is the personification of how fractured this whole rebuild experiment has been.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like this is the ultimate, like, I can point to this and say, that's what this entire thing is. It's a disjointed kind of a mess.
Because, like, I really don't feel like there is a story in this one.
Not much of one. Because we know what needs to be done. Yeah. Like, the world has already nearly ended, and we're trying to rebuild, and we know that Gendo we know what instrumentality is. We've been over this.
But
I feel like emotionally, if I was going to take away, like, besides the meta narrative, if I had, like, one takeaway from how this hit me emotionally, it was like, oh, Evangelion Brotherhood.
Oh my god, it's perfect. It's perfect. Literally a worse version of something that was already really fucking good.
It felt like they were trying to do Gurren Lagann in Eva.
Yeah.
Like, minus all the clarity. Like,
yeah.
I was like, what is this? What are you going to say, Rhett? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, it just feels like the story... What did you say earlier about, like, it making sense layer? The IQ layer or something?
just keep thinking it'll make sense later. It'll make sense later.
Yeah,
Like that part, that arc kind of completely got in the way of the any emotional layer.
Yeah.
But then the emotional layer, I feel like, also gets cast aside for the explicit metatext about how this is a movie about ending Ava as a franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that final kind of action scene with Gendo versus Ikari or versus Shinji.
So cheap.
It's so cheese.
Yeah.
Like going back to the scene of the first Angel fight, and then the super bad CG, and then Shinji gets knocked against the wall, and you see it's just literally a set. I'm just like, oh my god,
that was a Kingdom Hearts. That was a Kingdom Hearts finale. That is not an Evangelion finale to me.
Like
that was a Nomura game finale.
Because like the setting has been so thoroughly destroyed at that point, I'm just not even sure what was like that was on the on the action movie level.
Yeah.
It just made literally no sense. Where it's just like every cut is a different scene to make you go, "Hey, remember this area?
that? Remember that from the original series that was way better?
Remember Misato's kitchen? Now they're fighting in it as Evas. Like what?
It just." It's trying so hard for something, and God bless its little heart, but I just don't know what that is. And 2.5 hours.
It's so long.
Yeah.
So long.
And I'm somebody that literally defended 3.0. That literally said, I like what this did. I'm here for this swerve. Mm-hmm. And I think they can do something great with this as a jumping off point. And then we get this.
3.0 was the 90-minute intro to something.
Yeah.
And then we got the something. And it's
like,
oh,
and then the something was just I'm not too proud to say I was fucking confused. I'm not. But I just don't think any of what they were doing at the last 30 minutes of that movie made any fucking sense.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it on a super basic level of like, we've got to stop Gendo.
Right.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
It's so weird because it's so confusing, but then like the feelings it seems to be going for are just like
so basic,
like a basic JRPG finale. Like that's about the level. It's like that's what a friend said. Like trying to summarize it like quite nicely was saying this is like a full JRPG squeezed into these 4 movies. And like, that's not how Ava worked, though.
No,
that's not Ava.
Ava needs like again. We're gonna come back to ponderous because Ava is ponderous. It needs that time to gel in its own fucking awful, stinky bath of terrible human emotion, and this just has nothing. Like none of that really comes through in any of these movies.
You stare at Shinji holding the boy in his hand for a full minute with nothing happening, and then he does the thing that you hate.
Oh god.
Versus Kooru talking for 2 minutes as the collar is activating.
What?
Like, why doesn't it just go off? Why did he put it on?
Look,
the collar.
To people that find this episode years later, yes, we were too dumb to understand your favorite anime. We were too dumb to understand your favorite anime.
Hating Evangelion is like such a nerd ass like basic contrarian take.
Right.
I
was so reticent to be like, I don't really think I like this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, am I gonna be this? Am I gonna be that guy? I don't want to be that guy.
See, I can't be that. I can't be that person because, like, for me to be that person, I would have to be so invested in how much I disliked it. Whereas with this, it's just like I watched this movie. It's like 2 or 3 days later, I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, that was it, I guess. Like, it was bad, and I will never watch it again.
I just feel like I kept thinking there were layers I needed to unpack, and then I just kind of
That's what I kept thinking.
Really any
like,
layers.
When I was there in the heat of it, the moment, like when we were after the movie, we were talking about it. I was thinking, all this stuff's gonna land in the next couple days, and it'll feel good, and I'll have a good solid set of thoughts to elaborate on when we talk about it on a podcast. And then it's Sunday, it's 48 hours after the fact, and all I can really think is, it's just not good.
I think, like,
It's just not good.
I think, like, 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 I think,
Anything that I could pull from this is so surface level that the movie beats it into your head. There's no subtext. There's nothing to really pull apart here.
I'm kind of surprised we all seem to have ended up on like the exact same page after.
Yep.
John messaged me after 3.0 and was like, "Uh-oh, did you like that?" And I said like, "Nope." But then Polly was like, "No, I still like that one."
I still think 3.0, like when we during the rewatch, I still had a good time.
So I thought, because I had watched this earlier, I thought you still had the most potential to still like this one.
Mm-hmm.
So for this, it's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah, like I think that after the fact, I wanted to, and I had sat here and I had mulled this movie over so much in the last 48 hours, and I just I can't get anything to come out beyond what we've said here, and it just feels bad.
I stayed up until 1 a.m. after we finished the movie.
Right!
Thinking and talking about it, and then the next day I didn't think about it at all.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like, that was me.
Really...
Me, I was literally there. I was just like, I'm sitting there, I'm doing other things, but I'm sitting there like, I know like a friend of mine was just like, man, I'm still thinking about the last 40 minutes, and I'm just like, yeah, I am too.
In a very different way.
In a very different way. And it's just like, I'm just going to avoid that conversation, I think.
Yeah, right.
Oh, it was like I was really kind of frustrated and mad about this for like 12 hours, and then I just stopped thinking about it.
That's the thing. It's
and then you guys watched it, and I kind of got mad again.
For me to like be angry about this thing would mean I would have to care, and that's the thing. I don't care about this anymore. Like I'm kind of already over it.
Yeah. The reason I'm mad about it is because the only good thing it did was like make me realize how much I loved original Ava.
Yeah.
And that's where the kind of frustration comes from.
Yeah.
And having John say stuff like, it's like if Trent Reznor did The Upward Spiral
20 years later. See, if Anno just wanted to make nicer movies, nicer stories, I wish he'd just been able to make new stories that expressed his new worldview.
We didn't
instead of leeching off these old stories.
And I think that is probably, unfortunately, just a side effect of the business, is that he probably couldn't do anything other than Evangelion. I think that I watched a documentary about this movie prior to watching it. There's a 2-part documentary on Anno on Amazon Prime that I watched, and I believe that even Hayao Miyazaki was just like, I told him, like, when he was working, like, you don't need Evangelion to be successful and to tell good stories. So it's just like, and this is like in year 6 of trying to make this movie happen.
I mean, he did take significant time off of this one. Like, there's the whole Godzilla movie in the middle, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's making new Kamen Rider. I mean, it's still new franchise movies, but at least it's not Ava.
Yeah. And it turns out the new Kamen Rider is just going to be Symphogear.
he's finally healed.
There you
20 years later.
Yeah, unfortunately.
He loves his glasses wife so much that now he can just make Symphogear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It's funny, like,
yeah.
I felt like nothing in this movie made sense, and then I read one thing afterwards that I went, oh, okay. Where I read that Mari is, like, based on his wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. That makes everything click into place a little bit.
Yeah. But as far as her characterization, though, like, everything about, like, her personality and her role in the story, he literally had nothing to do with it. He didn't write anything for her. It was some other dude's job on the staff to write Mari. That's how, like, and you can see that, like, their intention was clearly to make a character that was not an Evangelion character, because he just did not write her.
It's so funny at a point in this where she, like, reintroduces herself to Shinji because they've never, like, actually talked.
Yeah, like, they talked once in 2.
Yeah. And then a lot happens.
Yeah. A whole bunch.
15 years later, she has to reintroduce herself because she's just not been a character.
Yeah.
Like, she is there for the action scenes.
Yeah.
Because they can fuck up Asuka, but Mari can still fight.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's just so much stupid in this. Like, what the fuck was going on when she's like, I've absorbed units
I
12,
don't
13,
even
14, and
fucking
15.
know. But again, that goes back to the whole logic point of this dumb movie,
That's
where it's
the
like,
logic layer,
where
just
is that?
completely.
Why is that a thing? When did
It
she?
felt like an adaptation of like a VN,
Right.
where they cut out like most of the exposition, and then but there's nothing. That's the story.
Yeah, like she can just do that.
I was just, and then Misato's gonna crash the ship and turn it into a new spear.
And it's another spear, of course. Yes. Like, and
It's so weird because so much of it is so much bullshit, and then you have like them being like, "This is the spear of despair, and this is the spear of hope," like super on the nose.
yeah.
Explain the symbolism stuff, and Gendo just being like, "I'm sad because my wife died."
Ugh.
That's it. Do you get it?
God.
Let me elaborate on how sad I was before I met your mom.
Here's
and then
20
how
minutes. 20
happy-
minutes. 20 minutes. And Mari's in those fucking flashbacks. Oh my god.
So wait, is Mari like 50 years old?
She's like 50 years old. Yes.
14-year-old?
Yes, she is 50.
Okay.
Canonically 50 plus years old.
Okay, that makes the ending a little weird, huh?
Does it?
the ending
Given
a
that
little
it's
weird?
given that it's a new world, does it really? I don't fucking know.
Who knows?
Whatever.
Who knows?
Man, we really
Oh,
said we
boy.
weren't. We said we weren't going to spoiler cast this, but we literally just dumped everything, huh?
I think we had. I think we. I'm
We
so,
had to.
I'm so relieved. that
Just
you
had to get this.
Ollie.
I just want this out of my head because it's just like,
Ugh.
look, I'm just gonna go. I'm like, at some point, I'm just gonna rewatch the original series and End of Evangelion just to get
Yeah.
this out of my
Oh
fucking
god,
head.
I really want that. I really want to do that.
Like, I'll do that as a rewatch on the Discord too. Like, I will just like, you
Oh,
know
cool.
what? We will watch good Evangelion as a family.
Do you like how I like how Rhett pointed out that at least from your point at POV, none of these remakes that are actually sequels have turned out well.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, I was thinking of this. I was thinking of Higurashi. I was thinking of Final Fantasy VII remake.
The Higurashi one is really making people mad right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
But it's gonna be very funny if FF7 remake is the best of them. I think.
I mean, it's got a
Nomura's
good
game.
chance.
I think it's got
certainly-
pretty good
Oh, you know what? It
potential.
probably is gonna be.
The bar
Yeah.
is pretty fucking low.
They should
I
kill.
feel
They
like-
should kill Cloud in the next one. And then Aerith is the main character.
There's something
Right?
really, really weird about revisiting these sacred cows like
Mhm.
20 to 30 years later and then completely inverting the message.
Or just completely missing it.
Or missing it, yeah.
If it was affirming something new and very strongly, I think I would be okay with that. But instead, the only theming I can really pull out of this is meta bullshit.
Yeah.
Is you need to let go of of the TV series Neon Genesis Evangelion from 1996.
Yeah.
It's time.
And then it's
Grow
not
up.
really us that needs to let go, it's Anno.
Yeah, it's Ano.
It's a movie for
Like,
him.
it's a movie
Yeah.
for him, like I said.
It's a movie for him and maybe like obsessive adult baby fans
Yeah.
who he's had
The
to deal
adult-
with death threats from for 20 years.
Yeah.
Who are also arguing about the lances on the wiki right now about
Yeah,
what they'll
great. I'm
mean.
sure they're so much better off for having more wiki bait. I'm sure.
Oh god, yeah, they've been starving, man. This is like fucking Christmas for them. They're gonna be
20 more years. of
Yeah, I was about to
obsessing
say
over
they're
it.
gonna be at this another 20 years.
I mean, I almost feel like that's why some of this is so pulled out of ass bullshit, is that they're actually just making shit up to fuck with the obsessives.
That would be
'Cause
great.
they-
I can
they've
appreciate
said, like,
that.
That's the funny thing about Ava, though, is when they admitted like 20 years ago, oh, by the way, all the religious stuff we just kind of made
Yeah,
up because it looked
we
cool.
just think it looks cool.
So for them to just triple down on a bunch of it in this is just like, but you know it's fake. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's almost like wrestling.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, like that.
Oh.
That's a damn good. That's a damn good fucking touchstone right there. Yeah, it feels like fucking professional wrestling.
but it's just, you've already like lifted the hood up to be like, yeah, by the way, we're just making up nonsense.
Yeah.
And then doubling down. I don't know.
The lore like was
The
never
lore.
the point in the original because the emotional core of the original was
Yeah.
so strong.
Right.
Right.
So it
But
didn't matter.
It's kind of like Lost, where people then miss the point and obsessed about the lore for the entire runtime. My real bummer with this though is the animation. I really don't
I'm
like
not
the.
crazy about it.
It's pretty on a superficial level, but I think the CG is just exhausting.
There's so much CG. Like,
Yeah. And
you
I'm
ju-
just
yeah.
longing, like, the mass-produced Ava fight scene, which is so visceral and
It's
beautiful.
so like this eternal touchstone of like the most grounded mecha fight like to
Awful.
ever be animated.
And like even though it's like mechas beating the shit, you feel the violence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing. It works on both levels, though, where it's like, it's an extremely violent, visceral fight that feels bad. But then there's also just, and when each character takes a step and you see the trees go flying,
Yes!
like there's just immense weight in that fight that there's literally none of that in this movie.
Yeah.
So
They
like,
literally shrink the Ava down to a normal room size. It's like, nope, the illusion, there is no illusion here.
Yeah. We've already fucked
And the
this
way-
up.
and the way that fight alternates between the CG and hand animated Avas is also super weird.
Yeah.
Like, I was great. I was like cool when the animated, like the proper animated stuff showed up.
Yeah.
But it was just so jarring constantly.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of made me just bummed out for anime as an entire medium.
Yeah, like it's
When
kind of
like
yeah.
when
that.
like the most prestige thing to come out in a while is just the CG nonsense.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
it's-
my god, remember how beautiful giant 2D Angel Ray
Oh
was
no!
in the
I can't
original
believe
movie?
I
How
cannot be-
like they animated that at 30 frames per second instead of 24, and you
Really?
could really fucking tell. Yeah, like I'm pretty goddamn sure that Angel Ray is animated at 30 frames a second and not 24. That is a
can't-
very fucking smooth animation of her pop coming out of the fucking LCL bag.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I cannot believe we went this long without mentioning the new version.
Oh my god, it looks
With-
terrible!
I have to imagine it looks bad on purpose, but I still laughed out loud.
Oh yeah, it's pretty fucking bad.
For such like a touchstone.
Yeah.
For such an eternal image.
Yeah.
Like, I get the idea of we want it to look creepy, but I laughed out loud.
Yeah, it just looks silly.
Remember how weird and visceral the stuff coming out of her eye in the original was?
Yes.
I mean,
None of
it's
this
been a
looks
while,
like
so
it.
no.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
it's awful.
Yeah, it's
you.
very unnerving.
Yep.
I don't think I've actually watched EOE since like 2000, but I still remember a lot of it, but not all of it.
It's so good.
It's real good.
I mean, it's number 3 on my anime list from
Yeah.
the site.
Awesome. I liked that thought that the Asuka force feeding Shinji was like the most Ava moment there, where it's just like this very real miserable violence where
Yeah.
you understand exactly where Shinji's coming from and where Asuka's coming from.
Yep.
Just like, oh,
Like again,
God.
like that one moment is probably the most that you captured of actual
Yeah.
Evangelion. And the rest of the movie is like it's just it's being force fed to us in a very similar manner. So, any final thoughts on Evangelion 3.0?
Watch BoJack Horseman.
There you go. Watch BoJack.
It's a
Horseman.
much better Evangelion successor than the remakes. Like in the ways that
It kind of
actually
definitely
matter.
sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, in the real ways. It's just instead of badass mecha fights, you get extremely funny jokes about animal people. They'll have like they don't limit it to just like mammals. They'll have like an amoeba person,
Nice.
but it's still like regular sized walking around. It's very good.
Very SpongeBob SquarePants.
That's it.
All right.
Love y'all.
We've been going for a long time, and I'm
Yeah.
ready to call it quits. Are we done?
We're done.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we got
This
the
really
Emperor-
was the anime episode, though.
We got all the anime that you could ever want in one episode. You got all the ret you could ever want in one episode. He's gonna go.
Sorry.
He's gonna go pour some chloroseptic down his throat and pray that it stops hurting. And I think we're gonna go ahead and start getting ourselves out of here. So, John Fire, tell the internet folks at home where they can find you.
Farawaytimes.itch.io. You should play my game and read my book. They're very good. I really like them.
Rhett.
Crunchyroll.com/so I'm a spider, so what?
There you go.
It is on Crunchyroll.
And of course, thanks everybody for coming out. We appreciate it as always. And remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. All right, I'm tired, so I'm getting us out of here. All right, I'm going to send you all on over to Sean Chiplock. Since we are in the business of spoiling everything, I'm going to just send everybody on over there. There's not many people hanging out here anyway. He is currently playing the end of Trails of Cold Steel 4. So,
oh boy, so you really might want to bounce.
You might want to bounce now. We're getting out of here. We'll talk to you folks later.